Parliament Radio and Parliament Television. How is the UN family?
Oh, the UN family is well. Thank you very much. And I'm so glad to be here. I'm looking forward to a fruitful discussion. Yeah, thank you.
All right. My sign language interpreter for today is Chola Kom. And later on, I shall be reading out your text messages. The number that we use on this platform for SMSs is 0978 77801. Your presenter, my name is Paulson Tindovi. Like I mentioned earlier on, we're looking at a very interesting sustainable goal number 12, which is responsible consumption and production. Let's kick start our program by just looking at this goal that we're looking at this morning. But before we do that, maybe I'll move to a representative from the United Nations, and you're coming from the program as a program policy officer nutrition. What does your job entail?
Well, thank you, Paulson. So once again, I'm glad to be here. I am a nutritionist by profession. I have been practicing for now over 15 years. I started, much of my work life has been in government of Zambia, and recently joined the United Nations. So my daily work, Paulson, involves my understanding what's the nutrition challenges that are existing. I'll give you a brief picture. Currently, nearly 1/3 of our children that are under 5 are chronically malnourished, meaning that they're not growing according to their expectations. So as World Food Program and the United Nations in general, we have to find approaches, solutions, and that would work to address those challenges. Currently, I think 30% of the adult population in Zambia are undernourished, meaning they're not getting the required energy on a daily basis. The other aspect is where we have most of our children are not getting the diet that they require. In this case, what we define as a balanced diet in terms of children under 2. Nearly 87% are not getting that balanced diet. So my daily work really involves how can we find solutions, what approaches are going to work, what technologies can improve access as well as consumption of nutritious foods for the most vulnerable populations. In this case, our children under 5, our children in school, our women that are pregnant and are lactating, our adolescent girls. So basically that's really around that. So WFP, we contribute to generate evidence of what is working for the government of Zambia. So basically that's really my work on a daily basis. Yeah, thank you.
So we are looking at SDG 12, responsible consumption and production. What is this SDG all about?
So having given you really a brief background of what's the status in terms of nutrition, and that's just a bit. So there's a whole lot of challenges. So what the SDG number 12 is focusing on is ensuring that we have to be responsible for how we consume our goods and services. We have to be aware that we are utilizing resources that are diminishing on a daily basis. And so it is calling for us to be responsible in terms of production as well as consumption. Whatever goods we produce, whatever services we require, we have to be responsible in that sense. So basically, we know that our population is growing, but that is not the same with our resources. They are actually diminishing. There is actually an estimation that if we as a population on this planet Earth grow to about 9.8 billion by the year 2050, would need an equivalent of about 3 planet resources to feed us, to take care of us. So basically, this SDG is asking us to shift our consumption patterns, our production patterns, to ensure that we are taking care of the resources that we have. We do not diminish them. We do not endanger them, so that our generation that are going to come should find something to survive on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Honorable Kasauta, how does your committee, you are chairperson of a very critical committee, Agriculture, Lands and Natural Resources, how do you view the role of sustainable agriculture in achieving SDG 12, especially in terms of responsible production?
Oh, good. Thank you so much, President. President, as a committee on agriculture, lands and natural resources, what we are trying to do, especially to combat the responsible production and consumption, is that we are trying by all means to engage with the Ministry of Agriculture and also with the farmers. Okay, we do visit even farmers, and what we've put now in place is that we make sure that people are told about the climate change at the moment, so that we can sustain, okay, we can sustain our production here, and so that we can as well look after our natural resources. Because if we deplete our natural resources, then there will be no production, there will be no food. And here the major, the major goal, okay, on this issue or objective is to exactly maybe trying also to confront hunger, so that our people are able to feed, so that our people are able to not to go hunger. Otherwise, we know quite all right that the entire world is becoming hungry on a daily basis. And if we don't put our brains together to make sure that we look after the land, our natural resources, so that we can manage to produce enough for our population. So this is what we are doing, and we are making sure that even we train, even farmers, okay, become aware of the climate change which we are facing this time around, so that we look after our natural resources, even the trees. You know, people out there, especially our villagers, on a daily basis, they are busy depleting our trees, which is not good. And once we become careless on that one, our future generation, they will definitely find nothing. And even the soils which they'll find, if we deplete the soils, if the soils are no longer fertile, they won't even manage to produce enough for their living in their future. So we have to make sure that we work together with almost everyone, and it's not just in agriculture, even under green economy. Okay, and lands and natural resources.
Just to find out some of the cooperating partners that you're working with as a committee. But for now, let's leave it for now. And Doc, for the sake of people that are joining us or watching or listening to this program for the first time, maybe I want us to take them back to understand what this whole party caucus on SDG is all about. Just a brief.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Posent. So as members of Parliament, we have what we are calling an all-party caucus on sustainable development goals. Now, basically, this brings together those members of Parliament who are interested in matters of development, and in this particular case, all our committee chairpersons actually are members of this caucus. It has been in existence for some time, but of course every 5 years, due to turnover of members of Parliament, we have to almost always like start afresh. As you know, in our National Assembly, only 30% come back after an election, and that statistic has been quite consistent. So we coordinate and promote interest in sustainable development goals, because we believe that all of us, members of Parliament in our constituencies, we are actually perceived as agents that bring development. So basically, when they see us, they associate us with those individuals that are supposed to bring development to them. And if you look at our committee system, for which my brother here chairs the Committee on Agriculture, basically they are mirrored against almost these sustainable development goals. So you have a Committee on Agriculture, you have a Committee on Education, for example, which is one of the goals. You know, you have a Committee on Health, which I chair, goal number 3. So across the spectrum of these committees, they are actually almost all of them aligned to the sustainable development goals. So our role basically is to track what these committees are doing. Every time they raise an issue on the floor of the House to do with the health, to do with education, to do with the energy, to do with agriculture, including the sustainable consumption of our natural resources, they are actually speaking sustainable development goals. Yeah, on the other hand, we also interface with obviously the development partners, in this particular case UNDP, where the SDG has domiciled, in trying to follow up on the commitments which our government has made, because as you know, they signed up also to these SDGs. So we try to see how they are implementing these SDGs. We are currently interested, maybe in the next few weeks, to follow up on the reporting which my sister here was talking about, because recently at the United Nations General Assembly, I think there was some sessions on SDGs at which countries were reporting on the progress that they have made. So as a caucus, this basically is our work. Yeah.
All right, looking at what you've talked about and the number of years your caucus has been in existence, what legislative measures or policies has the caucus been involved in promoting sustainable consumption and production patterns in our country?
Okay, so thank you very much. The way we understand it as a caucus, this Sustainable Development Goal number 12, and if you listen very carefully to the two previous speakers, I'll put it very simply. It's all about how we look after our resources, the one that God gave us, our forests, our minerals, our water bodies, how we practice agriculture. In other words, it's about using these resources prudently by thinking about tomorrow. Okay? So basically that's the way it is. And in this kind of undertaking, you need, as any responsible government, some form of regulation. Okay? Because if you leave it too open like that, then you have some of our citizens who may not necessarily think about tomorrow. They will end up engaging in unsustainable agriculture practices that damage the environment, that obviously finish all the resources and so on and so forth. When it comes to industry, if you don't regulate, there will be overly pollution. You pollute our water bodies, you finish the trees, as my colleague has said. So it therefore means that there must be policies and laws, okay, that should regulate the conduct of our production, the conduct of our consumption, to ensure that we produce sustainably and think about tomorrow. In that regard, you will see that this parliament has enacted a number of legislation. You have the Forest Act that obviously sets up the rules through which forests have to be looked after, including conserving some as forest reserves. You know, all these people involved in timber and so on, there are all these rules governed by that. Maybe one of the best examples I can give you, a big policy intervention, is the ZEMA Act, which everybody knows. So the Zambia Environmental Management Authority obviously is one of the policy measures or laws that was passed here to ensure that it acts as a referee in ensuring that all our undertaking in production follow a set rules so that we don't damage the environment, how we dispose of our waste, we don't pollute, etc., etc. So that is one of them. Of course, we have the Minerals and Mineral Development Act to ensure that there are rules for those that want to go into mineral production. In fact, we are waiting currently for another policy measure or legislation, the Minerals Commission. Maybe you have heard about this.
It seems like the caucus is doing a lot, and in collaboration with members of parliament, to make sure that these legislation are followed, and also making sure that we conserve the planet for the future generation. But let me move on to Mrs. Fililo. What role does SDG 12 play within the food system in our country?
Okay, that's a great question, and I think just building upon what the two speakers have mentioned, our food system, this is where we rely on our mere existence in terms of future generations, current generations. So we have observed that the food system that we have currently is really at risk, in terms of the way we are able to feed or produce adequate food that can feed us. So we are seeing that there's a lot of practices that are endangering the environment through the current food system. So as much as we can have food on the table, how is that food being produced, where it is coming from? There's a lot of trees that are being cut. So basically we are seeing a lot of practices that are negatively impacting and contributing to climate effect in terms of the environment itself. So now talking about the sustainable consumption and production, very critical for the food system. That currently Zambia has developed a position paper, itemizing 5 pathways through which we can improve our food system. I think the first and the second pathways, the first pathways is really focusing us on how can we ensure access to safe and nutritious food for everyone. Okay, the second pathway is looking at how can we shift to sustainable consumption, and I think basically this is now aligning to about, I think I was able to pick out 2 targets under the SDG 12 which are aligning to this position paper as a country that we have developed. So one of them is talking about how can we ensure that we achieve a sustainable management and efficient use of resources. So even as we are producing that food, we need to be cognizant of the fact that we have to be make efficient use of the resources. The other bit is the other target that is under SDG 12 is talking about how can we reduce by half, okay, the food waste. So most of the food that we produce, it ends up on our plate, half of it is lost. And this is actually, a challenge right now globally. You have on one end countries that are able to have adequate food, but they lose more than half of that. You also have countries like Zambia which do not produce enough, but at the same time they experience over between 30 to 50% in terms of losses at post-harvest along the production and supply chain. So these two targets are critical for us under SDG 12 to influence the food system. So the place and the position of SDG 12 in the food system is that we need to make sure that we shift our energy, our consumption patterns to be sustainable, but we also make sure that there is food that is available for everyone to access.
All right. Yeah. Honorable Kasauta, you did talk about the role that the committee is doing, and you talked about production as one of the most important aspects in terms of agriculture. Maybe the question would be, we heard from Fililo talking about food wastage. As much as you produce, but at the end of the day, the waste in terms of the food that the country will lose is just too much. What is your committee doing to make sure that you address this challenge in relating it to SDG 12?
Oh, good. Thank you so much, Percent. Yeah, definitely the 2 previous speakers, they have really highlighted a lot, especially on the issue of food waste. But before I go to food waste, let me just pick the words of my previous speaker. Definitely, production is very important in the country, and that even where we produce our food from, we must not just produce a food without knowing exactly where the food is coming from, and we must make sure that we pay particular attention to make sure that where we grow our food from, the soils, okay, are very fertile, and that there are no chemicals inside, so that the food which is going, okay, on the table now, which is going to be consumed by the human beings, is of high standard and is very safe for consumption. Yes, and away from that, definitely on the part of post-harvest losses, that point is very cardinal, and we usually forget about it. And in fact, it starts from the field itself, before even it goes on the table. Yeah, before you harvest, I think it is very important that immediately the food is ready, the crops are ready for harvest in the field, because we lose a lot of production during the time of when the food, when the crops are ready, before harvest. So a number of, I think a number of percentages, it's lost whilst in the field. So this is where it is very critical, and that farmers must be talked to, that those losses which are happening in the fields, okay, must be minimized, so that we can have enough food, okay, which must go to our respective storages. Then away from that, there is another also there's another wastage, okay, when the food is cooked, okay, on the table. I think we cook more than enough, which is not good, and we just waste almost half of the food. I think almost all the families, even the poor families, okay, they leave a lot of food which they just throw. In the olden days, they were saying that it is very important to leave some of the food so that you can share with the domestic animals. But I think this time around, we must budget properly as families. I think it's a very, very important a point that let us budget for the food and the food which we are supposed to consume and which we are supposed to finish, not just to be wasting a food. And out there, forgetting that there are people who are very, very vulnerable, who are going to bed without anything in the stomach. We must think about those people. Then on the issue of also, that is on the issue of a responsible consumption. And it is not just consuming whatever food is on the table, but we must also think about how balanced that diet is. A balanced diet is very important. It's not just a matter of room and feel, no stomach feel. That the moment you feel that I'm satisfied, you just put that food in your stomach. Yes. It is not good, but we must consume a balanced diet. So balanced diet is very, very important in this era where we are, but people are not considering that. And now if you look at also at the rate of world desertification, it's also very, very alarming. All right, when you look at the world today, I think worldwide we are losing not less than 12 million hectares of land, almost on a yearly basis, which is not health for our future generation to find a fertile land where they are going to be producing a food from. I think in whatever we do, it is very important always to think about our future generation.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, the number that we are using if you wish to be part and parcel of today's program by sending in text messages is 0978 772801. 0978 772801. Better still, you can like our Facebook page, the National Assembly of Zambia Facebook page, and let us know where you are watching us from, and I'll be able to read your text message. Today, we're looking at SDG 12, very interesting goal, and it's about sustainable consumption and production. Doc, we're talking about the caucus.
Yeah.
How is the caucus promoting innovation and the use of technology to achieve sustainable consumption and production pattern? I know this question I also pose it to Honorable Kasauta because they are in this field, so we want to find out how they're collaborating with the various stakeholders like farmers.
Yeah, so basically if you look at the subject matter under discussion today and from previous speakers, you will see that whereas some countries have made strides, there are still quite a number that are engaged in unsustainable production and unsustainable use of their resources, leading to a lot of wastage. And one of the things mentioned here is that most of the food that is produced globally, actually, maybe a third of it, goes to waste. Whereas at the same time, there are also so many people who actually also go to bed hungry, estimated to be around 1 billion. Okay, and the food that goes to waste also is estimated around 1.3 billion tons, okay, yearly. Yeah, so meaning that there has to be methods and ways. In other words, there must be solutions, and those solutions must be novel and innovative to try and deal with this matter. So for us as a caucus, as I have indicated, we are not a standalone institution that is involved in crafting these solutions, but we are an advocate group, okay, which ensures or sees to it that the best practices across all these SDGs and the sectors that I've mentioned are actually leveraging on technology and innovation. I mean, we are in a technology age, so you can't remain behind and use old methods of production. For example, in his committee in agriculture, I do know that currently, including our 8th National Development Plan, we are encouraging farm mechanization, the use of technology, the use of climate-smart agriculture, so that we actually mitigate some of the effects that we are talking about, including how to deal with post-harvest losses. So there are ways and means and technologies that can be used, as opposed to being stuck in old age methods. I must also say that as a country, though we didn't realize it, you all recall that in the past we had the so-called Chitemene system. So meaning that we started many years ago looking at the effect of some of these unsustainable production methods, and of course a very big sensitization campaign around this Chitemene system was mounted over years, I think beginning from the Kaunda regime, and I don't think as we speak that system, my colleague is very much in practice anywhere else in Zambia at the moment. No, we have, for example, conservation farming, which is being encouraged right now. So those are some of the innovations that are coming out, okay, including organic farming, in order to do away with some of these chemical fertilizers, which are actually damaging our soils. So this is some of the innovations that have come up, how we dispose our wastes, understand? So all these are some of the innovations that have come up, but except they have to be enshrined in our laws. So that's where we come in.
As much as you advocate for these innovations and technology, others will argue again, saying a lot of job losses in the agriculture sector. This is coming from a local person who might not appreciate the mechanization, the innovation, and the technology in the agriculture sector. But how can we strike a balance as a country?
Yeah, so when it comes to, you see, technology and innovation means that you are trying to find an efficient way of doing something faster and quicker, and also achieving, in other words, achieving so much with so little. Now, that's the best way of achieving something that speaks to this, and you can't run away from this. In the long run, even the so-called small farmers or poor people, as you are trying to say.
But these are women that used to go and pick wheat. Now there are these machines that have taken over, and they're complaining that we weren't able to sustain ourselves. Again, speaks to the same goal that we're trying to address.
But you see the overall picture at a bigger scale. You are looking at so many people that will improve, first of all, the yields, that will also improve the harvest, so that so many people ultimately can benefit as opposed to very few. But there are also technologies and solutions that are developed for small-scale farmers. But certainly there is merit in discouraging the use of unsustainable and old ways of doing things. I think in the long run, the merits and benefits are more.
All right, let's get to our screen and see who has sent what message, so at least we'll be able to acknowledge the people that are with us via the radio platform and also the television platform. The number that we are using if you want to be part and parcel of today's program is 0978 772880. And keep those text messages coming. Let's see who has sent what on our screen today. We do have Kambilini from Luangwa. Good morning, Possent. Watching Parliament's television, continue bringing Parliament closer to the people. Thank you so much. We thought you would pose a question because we do have a very interesting topic today. This one comes from Martin Rosa from Lusaka. I'm enjoying and learning watching this show. Appreciate. Thank you so much. Let's see our last text. The other one. Good morning, panel. Will you teach the farmers other methods of living, not only depending on charcoal burning, because telling people to stop cutting trees without giving them a new method, it's not going to work, because the majority of people depends on it for a living. Thank you so much. There's no name there. I would have appreciated to know where you are watching us from or listening us from. Maybe a quick response, the last text. Educating, Honorable Kasauta, you did talk about charcoal burning and people bringing down trees, and you gave us some statistics on how many hectareage is being brought down in terms of trees. Maybe you can quickly respond.
Good, thank you so much, and let me also thank the person who has brought that issue. It's very important. You know, what is happening currently, a majority of our villagers out there in the remote areas, they depend on charcoal burning. Okay, that is the only business and the only source of income which they have. And without doing that, they cannot survive and they cannot manage to buy food. And even in the urban areas, if you are to go to any compound right now here, just here Lusaka, even the small towns, you'll find that about more than 50%, 50-60% of the Zambian people, those who live in the urban area, they use charcoal. But they have electricity, but they are running away from using the stove. So this is something I think as government, okay, we should also trigger our minds that why are things happening like this? I think the people also in the urban areas, okay, must be taught the dangers of using a charcoal and the dangers of encouraging the use of charcoal in our homes. It's very important so that even themselves, because they don't understand that what are we doing to ourselves? We are destroying nature out there, okay? Because we live in a world where we depend on nature as human beings, and forgetting that what we are destroying there tomorrow, it will affect our living as human beings. Then I think as government, it's something which should also open our minds that by trying now to preach to the Zambian people, especially those people in the rural areas, that they must stop, okay, cutting down trees for charcoal burning, we have to come up with an initiative to make sure that we give a little bit of businesses to those people in the rural areas. Okay. And right now as a country, I think in terms of rural electrification, we are still very far away. I think we haven't gone a 30% plus to electrify the entire country. I think as a country, what we need to do first of all is let's take, okay, electricity to almost each and every home here in this country. Then by doing that, we will even have energy now to stop the Zambian people from cutting down of trees. Right now, we'll have less energy to go there to speak to the people in the villages that stop cutting down trees. When people are depending entirely on that business, even on terms of cooking, they depend on charcoal. Is it charcoal and firewood? Okay, that's where they depend on. So we have to definitely put maximum energy, okay, yeah, especially in the energy sector, so that we electrify every village here in this country. And that capacity is there, because power, we do export power as a country. But we can, first of all, what we need to do as government, let us satisfy our local people, okay, with power. By doing that, then you are going to see that even people, those who are cutting down trees to make charcoal, to do business on charcoal, okay, it will reduce. Look at what our neighboring country now, our neighboring country, Zimbabwe. When you go there, you won't find charcoal. There's no charcoal, all right?
But again, the onus is on you as a legislature to come up with laws that to ban completely sale of charcoal. But let me move on to Madam Fililo. You saw that text message that came from our viewer or a listener out there. Technology is there. People have made innovations where you use less charcoal. People are advertising these products. But why do we have low consumption of these newly introduced technology? That will help us curb deforestation.
Yeah, so thank you very much. And I think your question is very, very important. And I think building on upon what Honorable has just highlighted, if we're going to facilitate these technology innovations, what are you saying to the people based on the current livelihoods they are having right now? So taking charcoal, for example, I think working with various smallholder farmers, WFP, and the government together, we have been managing to introduce new technologies. And I think mostly it's around providing the knowledge. Sometimes I think we do take it for granted that once we communicate a technology, people will just adopt it. I think we need to provide support for communicating behavioral change and support positive practices around energy. I think I want to give an example. We have been working, I think, as WFP to support a number of smallholder farmers to appreciate the new innovations around cooking stoves that are efficient in terms of their utilization of the energy, for example, firewood, reducing the amount of firewood. So I think it's going to be a step-by-step process that we have to really focus on and invest and be intentional about it, because most of them are really aware, and they're becoming more aware of the detrimental effect of deforestation, especially in the aspect of climate-related changes in the rainfall patterns. It's one of those contributions. So basically, these are people that are far from the development agenda, are willing to actually make changes, but we need to do the investment. And I think Honorable talked about the framework, but also Honorable has actually discussed what else do you provide for them. Okay. So I think basically having an engagement and considering the users as important stakeholders will be very critical.
Okay, before I move to Dr. Kalila, maybe I'd want to find out from you the importance of Sustainable Development Goal number 12 in the context of Zambia's development.
Precisely. I think, that this is something that should have been done a long time ago, emphasizing the importance. And I think just building upon, I think your last question around people would feel if we advance certain technologies, people would feel we're taking away jobs. On the contrary, no. I think as a country, we have a huge potential when you look at the vast resources that we have. If we brought in technology, we stand even a greater chance of penetrating the global market, which essentially will translate into job creation, you know, targeting the youths especially. So the importance in Zambian's context of SDG 12 is that it has the potential to create jobs, on the contrary, to create jobs. And I think also it has the potential of helping us to start using our resources efficiently. But also on the side of the food system, this is something that I mentioned a little bit earlier, the food system. If we continue the way we are utilizing our natural resources, we'll find ourselves with a food system that is not addressing our food needs. So if we employ the SDG targets and some of the proposed practices, we should be able to benefit in terms of climate-related challenges. Reducing greenhouse gas emissions is a key aspect for the food system. So I think resource efficiency, job creation, and climate mitigation will be very, very important aspects for us to adopt the SDG and implement it fully so that we are in a safe environment. Thank you.
All right, this is the SDG and U program, and we are looking at SDG 12. Now, Doc, target 12.4. It's quite a lengthy one, but allow me just to read it. States that by 2030, countries should achieve the environmentally sound management of chemicals and all waste throughout their life cycle in accordance with agreed international framework, and significantly reduce their release to air, water, and soil in order to minimize their adverse impacts on human health and the environment. Now, how can you members of parliament utilize increased CDF to achieve this target? It's quite a mouthful.
Yeah, well, first of all, indeed it's true, and I'm sure you're all aware that all our countries are signatories to some of these international conventions and frameworks, include, of course, the SDGs itself, and there have been various other international meetings to which we have all signed up on how to deal with waste, you know, whether it's chemical or it's electronic, and indeed so that we minimize pollution, we minimize the impact on our health, etc., etc., and certainly how to dispose of stuff like plastics and so on and so on. So countries have made major strides, including Zambia here. But specifically at constituency level, all of us, we have now recourse to some resources by way of Constituency Development Fund. And what is interesting, and my colleague here will confirm, is that the guidelines that were given to us on how to utilize this money, although we have the absolute authority working with our lower organs to determine how to use this money, but there was a guidance that we must pay particular attention to waste disposal. And a suggestion was made there that our local authorities, we should use some of these funds to actually invest into waste disposal mechanisms by way either of procuring some of these waste disposal trucks, or indeed helping out around some at lower organs, maybe a tractor, and so on. So you can see a translation of that convention, or which you are talking about, at the lower organ by way of constituency development fund, and a number of constituencies in the rural areas have done that. They've procured tractors, they are working with the councils to collect garbage and to ensure that that is made. So basically we believe that's straightforward, okay, which we are able to do, and we'll continue to do so.
All right, before Honorable Kasauta comes in, let me allow some few text messages. I know you'll respond to this. I know it may sound a bit tricky because you're coming from rural constituencies, but there are chemicals that people in your constituencies do issue to do with fertilizer. How are they using the fertilizer? How are they using the chemicals when dipping animals in these farms? But let's see who has sent some text message. We do have a set of 3. So the first one reads, how is the SDG 12 active? If so, what are they doing? Thank you so much. No name there. This one reads, good morning, watching from Choma. What can be done to those who are doing charcoal business? Because we depend on charcoal burning. I think Honorable Mijelo is right. Let the government empower those who do the cutting down of trees. Thank you so much. Make sure that you give us your name and summarize your text message. It will be easier for us to read it, and we can accommodate as many text messages as possible. Maybe quickly, Doc, you'd want to respond?
Yeah, no, on this question of charcoal, personally, I believe, and together as a caucus, certainly we have been very concerned, and this is a perfect example of what we are talking about. Responsible consumption, thinking about tomorrow, making sure there is no wastage, there is no harm that is going to accrue thereafter as a result of our actions today. And if you look at this question of charcoal, it has been going on for many years, and I always get surprised and even very worried when I'm going to the constituents along Mumbwa Road, or whether I'm going to the Copper Belt, or how many number of trucks that you meet on a daily basis bringing in charcoal into our cities. And now even those areas that were traditionally not involved in charcoal burning are now heavily involved into this practice of charcoal burning, which is having a serious effect on our environment by way of depleting our forests and so on and so forth. So basically, this is a matter to me which should be taken very seriously, almost to an emergency proportion.
What can be the lasting solution?
So the point I'm trying to make is this, because I see a viewer there who is saying that one of the ways he agrees with is that let us empower the charcoal burners so that they can stop the practice. But it's also a double-edged sword. You heard also from my colleague here saying that currently as a country, most of our people are still dependent so much on charcoal for their cooking and firewood. So you can stop those guys, give them money to engage in alternative businesses, but what happens now to the consumers? How then do they, what will be their recourse to energy for them to cook and for them to obviously sustain their livelihood as a result of the energy? So you stop this. On the other hand, what happens? Is there an alternative? So the solution is to do both. First, to discourage the practice, but also put together all our academia, researchers, the green economy people to come up with energy efficient, low cost solutions, which then the citizens can use as we march towards electrifying the entire country. Of course, to electrify our country, I think I've forgotten the exact figure, but the access to electricity levels are extremely very low at the moment, such that it's going to take long. You can't do it overnight, but there are technologies that are being developed. I think the University of Zambia here and many others. The question is, are they affordable? How soon can they filter out to everybody? So this is not an easy question, but it's something that we should, by emergency proportion, begin to address.
All right, Honorable, before you come in, let's allow Honorable just to respond to some of the question and the question that I posed earlier on to Dr. Kalila.
Oh, good, thank you. Yeah,
just be quick in your
there was a question that,
quite a number of
yes, on SDG 12,
yes,
that what does it do? I think the viewer there has just joined us. Maybe the group, maybe he or she was not following from the beginning. I think, yeah, on that one, maybe we should help out some of the viewers who have just joined us. Yeah, on SDG 12, I think the main goal and objective of SDG 12, it's to look at the responsibility of production and consumption amongst citizens, amongst the people, that we must pay maximum attention on where our food is being produced from and how is it produced, and when it has been produced or harvested, how is it being fed to the people? How do we consume it? Are we being careless on it, or are we wasting too much of the food? I think this is the main goal of this SDG 12. So we must make sure that where the food is being produced from, the environment must be very good. Then even where the food is going to be cooked and be served, we must not have too much wastage. We must become a very responsible citizens, that we must not waste too much of the food, because there are people out there who go hungry without food. Then I wanted to answer that. Maybe the doc wanted to chip in.
Before you, I think he's in line
I
with
wanted
your
to chip in a good example for the viewer to understand what we mean by SDG 12. For example, those who are in fishing areas, we are aware that there have been some methods of fishing which have been used, such as putting pesticides, chemicals,
mosquito nets
in the water, so that then they can harvest the fish. But the effect of that is to kill off almost all aquatic life there, including the fingerlings. So next year you have no fish, including mosquito nets and so on. So those are some of the examples of unsustainable production methods that we are talking about, that do not think about the tomorrow. So basically, and this is active, because we know as government we've discouraged all these production methods. In fact, for fishing, there is even a fish ban. That happens at a particular year, I think from 1st December to March. This is meant precisely to engage in sustainable production methods, so that we allow for regrowth, for regeneration, in order to take care of tomorrow.
Yes.
So I hope the viewer will understand it from that context. But this is a broader subject that simply, to put it simply, please, in whatever undertaking that you are doing, as you produce, think about tomorrow. Do not waste.
Okay. We only have about 5 minutes. We do have a live committee coming. Honorable Kasaudu, maybe you want to conclude your line of thought, or we allow Madam Felila to...
No, I wanted to add on what the question which you posed. You said that, Honorable, I think I'll allow also to answer this question.
Okay, please.
Yes,
talking about target 12.4, which talks about by 2030 achieve the environmentally sound management of chemicals and all waste. Yes.
Yeah, that point is very important. I think we must make sure, but before I answer to that, I think % is very important for the government to come up with a mechanism, including some of our NGOs. Those are also helping government. You know, in the urban areas, people are not being trained, all right? But people out there in the villages, we have extension officers, we have NGOs who are training people out there, on how to look after, be it livestock, crops, even how to maintain the environment, how to look after the environment. But when you come to the compounds, all right, people have been left out there, without knowledge. And that's where you find even junkies. I think we must come up with a mechanism whereby we identify people, we put them in clusters, so that people are being trained. And it's like now, people in the villages are more knowledgeable than the people now in the urban areas. So that one is very important. Then quickly, let me answer to what you've just highlighted. I think it is very important that farmers are trained. They are out there in the villages, in our farms, that if an animal, example, has been vaccinated today, there is a withdrawal period, that if you are milking, you must not milk those animals, no matter how much milk or how much money you want. Don't milk that milk, because when you take it for process, then you are going to feed the people out there, the nation, unhealthy milk. Similar to the beef as well. You find the animal has just been injected today, maybe it was suffering from something, then tomorrow it dies or you slaughter it. Then you are going to feed the whole country, okay, with a contaminated beef. These are the issues we are talking about. So a withdrawal period is very important, and usually farmers, they don't follow those things. So we must make sure that farmers are trained in the importance of not feeding the nation and health food. So health food is very important. And also, coming to the issue of polluting the environment, all right? Coming to the issue of where farmers just get the, is it a slurry, the dung, just spreading in the field. It is not health. What we need to do, we must come up with an innovation whereby the slurry which is coming from the pits, all right, it is injected in the soil to avoid, okay, polluting the environment. Those things are very important, and those are the laws we should come up with this time around, so that we match with the current situation we are in today.
I know Ms. Fililo is itching to respond to so many concerns that we have. But before you respond, maybe the other question that I would want to find out from you, now what are the key challenges that Zambia faces in achieving SDG 12, ensuring sustainable consumption and production patterns?
Okay, so I think, thank you very much, really important. And I think one of the key challenges that I have been able to pick up, especially when you look at our national, voluntary national review, is I think the inadequacy around frameworks and policies to adequately respond to the evolving challenges around responsible consumption and production. So basically, if we're able to do a lot around ensuring that those frameworks that are currently available should house sustainable consumption and production, we are going to go a long way in terms of assuming our, our environment to be safer for us and to give us the food we need for even future generations. So the frameworks need to be strengthened. The frameworks need to house sustainable consumption and production.
How can an ordinary person be involved or engaged in achieving SDG 12 as we wind up?
Yeah, so every citizen in this country has the responsibility to ensure that when they are purchasing a good or a service, they should be able to assess if it has been produced in a responsible manner, if it can be consumed as well by them in a responsible manner. One of the key aspects that we are looking at is the utilization of plastics. I think we have a law that is guiding us on utilization of plastics. So adhering to those and being responsible and following up, checking exactly this product I'm looking for, this service, demanding products and services that have been produced in a responsible manner is critical to each and every citizen. And I think what the two honorables have indicated is that we need to also go in and provide that support. And I just want to quickly state that we as WFP have been working with government to train the smallholder farmers, particularly on prevention of the food loss, especially in the production stages. I think to date, I'm happy to say over 200,000 farmers have been equipped with skills, with practices to ensure that they produce food that is safe, particularly the aflatoxin prevention aspect. So I think, yeah, quite a lot.
Honorable Mijalo, maybe as we conclude the program, how can members of parliament contribute to the realization of SDG 12? And is this goal attainable? Maybe under a minute.
Oh, thank you so much. I think the best the honorable members of parliament can do is that to come up, to come together, like to go under, okay, the umbrella of where Honorable Kalila, okay, being the chairperson of the SDG, so that we come up with new innovations, all right, and so that we can come up with a law which matches the current situation today. Because the laws, okay, which we have, I don't think they are enough to match with the current challenges which the country is facing today, and that we must come up with our own homegrown solution. I think that way we are going to manage some of these things.
All right, Doc, is this go attainable? And how can
very much so, very much so. I mean, sustainable, well, basically, as I've said to you, it's just being in control of what you do today to ensure that you don't harm yourself tomorrow. This is basically very easy to do, but I believe that the frameworks that play a role in responsible consumption and production, most of them are outdated, and they are available actually. You see in the forest sector, you have the Forest Act. If you go to fisheries, you have the Fisheries Act. If you've got ZEMA, you've got all these things available, except of course they need review now and bringing them perhaps under one framework. I think what is weak basically in some of them is enforcement, which is actually one of our problems in this country. We could have some of these laws, but enforcement. But we have also seen initiatives to try and review. Like now, we are waiting for the Minerals Commission Act, which is going to play a role in how we deal with our minerals and natural resources. So I think it's doable. And as a caucus, certainly working with the chairman, maybe we'll need one day to sit and see each one of our colleagues in their respective sectors, like in agriculture, how they are pushing this issue of responsible consumption. But there's one problem, I believe that as we go forward, we should also begin to look at how we produce organically. Well, this country believes so much in fertilizers. It's actually an issue. Right now, everybody, oh, we haven't seen fertilizer, oh, we are sharing, because we believe that the only way to produce is through the use of chemical fertilizers. So this is against exactly what we are talking about. So we should begin to look at these new issues.
Thank you so much. And I must say it's been very enlightening, learning a lot of things regarding SDG 12. Honorable Kasauto, thank you so much. Madam Fililo and Doc, appreciate your presence here.
Thank you.
I should also acknowledge Israel Kamba on our Facebook page. That's the National Assembly of Zambia. You've been following us, and you wrote quite a number of issues on our page. Trust Mudinta as well. Appreciate. Also have George Siamalambo. Thank you so much for being with us on the Facebook page, the National Assembly of Zambia Facebook page. And those of you that have been following us on our radio platform and the television platform, say thank you. We appreciate. My guest for today had Mr. Kasautu Mijelo, MP for Wengwa constituency and Chairperson Committee on Agriculture, Lands and Natural Resources. I also had Dr. Christopher Kalila, MP Lukulu East constituency, and he is Chairperson of All-Party Parliamentary Caucus on Sustainable Development Goals. And also from the UN family had Ms. Fililo Nambeye, Program Policy Officer from the World Food Program. I must say thank you so much, and our entire production crew will be back tomorrow at 08:15 as we look at another goal, which is goal number 13, climate action. My name is Paul Simtindo. On behalf of my sign language interpreter, Chola Kauma, we'll be back tomorrow, and keep watching and listening to Parliament.
were 59,439 registered cashew nut farmers in Western Province.
The situation as it is, I'm incapacitated.
The good people of Petauke, especially Minika 1, where we don't have water.
This is now a serious risk on the people with Estesi. Last week we registered one maternal death.
Within the CDF, we can build palaces for all chiefs in our country.
Minister, when are we going to have money? When are we going to construct those people?
Catch us live on DSTV channel 272, OTV channel 28, Topstar channel 5, or visit the National Assembly of Zambia Facebook page. Parliament Television, bringing Parliament closer to you.
The constituency development funds increased from 1.6 million kwacha in 2021 to 28.3 million kwacha from 25.7 million kwacha in 2022 national budget was unprecedented in the history of Zambia and was a manifestation of the government's resolve to push developments to all corners of this country. Today on the CDF program, we tour Kabwata constituency to appreciate how the constituency development funds is being utilized. Kabwata, just like other constituencies, has benefited from the funds and has seen the construction of a number of projects. One of the projects is the construction of a 1x3 classroom block at Kamwala Primary School at a cost of 894,000 kwacha. Kabwata Member of Parliament, Mr. Andrew Taengwa, highlights some of the projects taking place in his constituency.
The construction of the 1x3 classroom block actually started 2 weeks ago, so we are actually on schedule. Then the issue of expanding, and let me make it clear to everyone that I'm not going to commission a 1x3 classroom block without any desks. That we've agreed, and the procurement of desks is actually it's an ongoing process. I was told that by first week of July we should be receiving. We've managed to procure almost about 3,500, so we'll be able to cater for a number of schools within the constituency. We are targeting the deadline that we were given by the head of state, that come December 2023, no child should be able to sit on the floor. So we are on course. The desks will be given out to most of these schools. Going forward, of course, with the increment of the CDF, you'll be able to see a number of projects popping up, especially in Lilai under Kamlanga Ward. You'll be able to see a number of projects in schools and markets, and of course the issues of drainages. And also the roads. I've checked that Kamlanga Ward is the least developed ward, and we want to ensure that we work on the roads. Then also within Kamlanga Ward in Lilai, we are also planning to put the first ever skills training center for our learners. That skills training center, we should be able to start it next year under the Constituency Development Fund.
And Kamwala Primary School Deputy Head Teacher Mrs. Edith Pangani explains how the construction of the 1x3 classroom block will cushion the overcrowding of pupils in classrooms, and was quick to highlight other needy areas.
The project that is taking place here at Kamwala Primary School under CDF is the building of the 1x3 classroom block. This project has started this term, and it is really running at a fast rate. Everything has started this term, but we also have other projects that would love to have taken place, like the completion of the school hall, and also the desks. We are really short of desks. As you know, the catchment area for our school is the area that is highly populated, and
the demand from the community is very high. And with the coming of the free education, all the learners that were in the community want to come to school, and most of them have been absorbed in the school. Now what we need are the desks on top of what is happening. The building of the 1x3 classroom is a very good project because it will answer to the demands of the community.
Chilenje Level 1 Hospital is one of the biggest health facilities in Kabwata constituency, and the constituency has approved the construction of an ablution block which is nearing completion. Mr. Taengwa explains why the constituency settled for the ablution block at the facility.
We had challenges with especially the patients and also the staff. They were complaining in terms of toilet facilities at the clinic. So we had to take it upon ourselves as leaders to say, let's try and see how best we can put up with an ablution block. That's what we've done. The total cost for that ablution block is coming to about 394, if I'm not mistaken. Then 374, if I'm not mistaken. Then also I'm sure you've seen the works that have been done. We've done almost close to about 95% anytime soon. Immediately the certification again from council comes, the contractor will be able to hand it over to us then so that we can give it to the community. So far in terms of the works, I think the contractor is right on time. I haven't seen any delays from his part, and in terms of payment, we've been on course also giving him some money. I'm sure he's just waiting for a certain amount of money. I'm told last week he was paid, so immediately when he receives the money in his account, probably we'll see some works to be done so that we finish the whole project.
And Ms. Monde Muyambango is a nursing officer at Chilenje Level 1 Hospital and talks about the progress of the ablution block.
Project we have under CDF now, it's we are trying to come up with the ablution block for both male and female. It's a 2-in-1. As you can see behind, it's a 2-in-1. At the moment, I think we need to look at we have a pathway. We need to put pavers. As you know, our ground, the other side heading to the small gate is quite bad. We need pavers there, and also would love to have incinerators. Yes, the one we have is functional, but it's not adequate. Even the issue of autoclave, we really have a very, very big challenge. It's a big project, and as a facility, I don't think we can manage to buy an autoclave, especially. We need it like today.
Another project that has benefited from the allocation of Kabwata constituency development funds is the Livala market in Livala ward. The market has received 146,756 kwacha, 55 ingwe, to undertake maintenance works at the market. Mr. Sililo Wamulume is market advisor committee member, explains some of the maintenance projects being undertaken at the market.
Some of the CDF projects that are doing this market, they are maintaining drainage, lights at the vegetables stand here, and the toilet that side, and the gutter. So far, the lights are okay, toilets are okay, gutters are okay, but the challenge we have here is those people making drainages. They are too slow. So they have blocked these drainages. The water, they can't flow to go to the main drainage. That's a challenge we have.
After Livala Market, the crew left for Michael Chilofyasata Health Post, where a mother's shelter is being built using CDF. And Kabwata Member of Parliament, Mr. Andrew Taengwa, expressed happiness at the progress made so far.
We have done most of the works. I think what is remaining is just about 98% complete. 2% is what is remaining. And we're waiting for the council to come and do the certification so that we can know where we are standing. Then thereafter, probably they will be able to, the contractor will be able to handle the project to the community or to us so that we can hand it over to the community. The total cost for this project is about 210,000 kwacha, if I'm not mistaken. Then the completion period, what we had agreed in the contract is it 8 weeks, and they have done almost 8 weeks, so anytime they should be handing it over to us so that we can hand it over to the community. Basically, they are on time. I think we haven't seen any delays from the contractor himself, and what he has done, I think marvelous works, except maybe 1 or 2 things that maybe probably the engineers will need to come on site and guide us whether what he was doing is correct. But so far so good.
Lilai Primary School is one of the schools in Kabata constituency which has received constituency development funds for the construction of a boundary wall fence. Mr. Taengwa gives an overview of the wall fence project at the school.
This is a project that was approved many months ago under the 2021 Constituency Development Fund. It's basically working on the wall fence for Lilai Primary School. We've done almost 95 or 96%. What is remaining is just a few portion where we are trying to resolve the issue of the boundary dispute with the church. But going forward, I'm sure anytime soon, if that can be resolved, then we'll be able to complete. But so far the works that have been done, they're not bad, but I think the contractor needs to do a good job. If he's to be given some other works, I think I will need to move and see exactly what he's doing, because we need supervision from the council. I think what we have seen is that most of these engineers at the council, they are not moving on site to check what is happening, because people are just busy constructing without them doing the monitoring.
Apart from constructing perimeter wall fence at Lilai Primary School, Mr. Taengwa highlights some of the needy areas that need attention in Kamulanga of Lilai area.
Teachers' houses, we have some teachers' houses that are either occupied by those that either could have retired, and also I think I've seen that they have enough land for us to expand the housing unit for the teachers. So going forward, of course, with the increment of the CDF, you'll be able to see a number of projects popping up, especially in Lilai under Kamulanga Ward. You'll be able to see a number of projects in schools and markets, and of course the issues of drainages. And also the roads. I've checked that Kamulanga Ward is the least developed ward, and we want to ensure that we work on the roads. Then also within Kamulanga Ward in Lilai, we are also planning to put the first ever skills training center for our learners. That skills training center, we should be able to start it next year.
He further thanked Parliament Television for showcasing some of the developmental projects taking place in Kabata constituency using constituency development funds.
Thank you as Parliament TV. We appreciate that you are able to come to our constituency and beam the projects that we are doing and showcase to the people outside there so that they can know that truly indeed the CDF is working in Kabata constituency.
He further acknowledged the critical role the constituency office plays in making sure that the administrative work regarding CDF is handled in a manner that benefits all members of the constituency.
The role of the constituency office, especially in Kabata constituency, is to help the citizens, the residents who live within Kabata, to understand that this is an office that is able to work with the community. Once the community identifies those projects using the ward development committees, then they are able to forward those some of the projects that they have identified within the constituency to the office of the area member of parliament, so that we can see how best we can act on them. So basically the office of the member of parliament is there to work hand in hand with the community. But if we leave out the community, we start doing things, at the end of the day people will not be able to appreciate the many works and many projects that we'll be able to implement, because we did not go to the people to consult them. So basically our office is there for consultation. Our office is open for the community they are out there to come up and interact with the office of the area member of parliament so that they can know what is happening in the constituency.
The tour of constituency development funded projects in Kabata constituency has provided an opportunity for increased community engagement and participation in decision-making processes, and local communities are actively participating in identifying developmental priorities, proposing projects and monitoring the implementation of initiatives funded by constituency development funds.
The tour of constituency offices in Luapula province by Honorable Moyo continued, with the next on the schedule being Mwansabombwe constituency, home of the Mwata Kazembe of the Lunda people of Luapula. Honorable Moyo and his entourage started the tour by paying a courtesy call on His Royal Highness Mwata Kazembe at his palace. The next stop on Honorable Moyo's itinerary was Mwansabombwe constituency office, where he interacted with the area departmental heads and later on had a meeting with the area member of parliament, Mr. Kabaso Kapampi, MP, and his staff.
I welcome you to this special occasion, which is a very rare moment where we are welcoming our deputy second speaker to Mwansabombwe constituency office. The council have given us land, and we sent all the documentation to your officer. All we are just waiting is for your office to respond and probably see how best this can be done. Because if we were even at our if we were at Boma there, maybe you could have even planted 50 trees or so, because it's just a plain land which has been given to the council by the Mwata, and it's quite big. So even in terms of plots, I'm sure we've been allocated a very big size of a plot whereby we can even plant more trees if we were to build our own offices.
One of the reasons we've come here for is the issue of mitigation of climate change, and this calls for concerted effort by all stakeholders. Just like I earlier said, mitigation of climate change, one of the measures that has to be instituted is tree planting. For us, it was started by Madam Speaker last year, launched in Lusaka, so we expect that our pledge as the National Assembly that we'll be able to fulfill the desires of the Speaker to be able to plant 1,000 trees will be supported by all of you. Other than that, you know, there are three arms of government, and us come from the legislative wing. So we provide oversight. So if you've seen, the government's developmental agenda is premised on decentralization, which means that all of us are key stakeholders in that. So as police, as education, forestry, all of us too should take pride and participate in that, in ensuring whatever we require, we're able to liaise with our traditional leaders, the MP, so that we come up with projects that will be able to support our communities.
The Deputy Speaker ended his visit of Mwansabombwe by planting a tree at the constituency office. The Honorable Second Deputy Speaker then proceeded to Kawambwa Parliamentary Constituency. Honorable Moyo was met by staff at the Provincial Administration and staff of the Kawambwa Parliamentary Constituency Office. Honorable Moyo later on had a meeting with constituency office staff before leading them to a tree planting exercise.
The purpose for our visit is one, to be able to interact with the constituency officials in this office that represent National Assembly. As you are aware, this is an extension of National Assembly that provides the platform for the public to be able to interact with the National Assembly. And also it helps us to provide oversight at local level. So it's a stadia that National Assembly has provided as an extension for its existence. And also we have also come to interact with you people to learn how you are getting by, just like the DC and the council chairperson. They've told us about their success story about CDF. This is so gratifying, because it's good to hear, especially I wish the head of state was here himself, should have heard how his policy is being received and the success story about it. Though it being a new project, along the way there were bottlenecks because it's a new policy. But it's good to hear that even in far-fetched areas like Kawambwa, people have received, and there's a success story.
And we are so grateful to the President for the good gesture. I was in the field yesterday where I went to inspect some of the few projects. Mr. Speaker, I can tell you it is a game changer. It has changed so many lives. We are committed as a district to make sure that we implement the government policies and also the projects. We have no challenges whatsoever. We are working hand in hand with your offices here, and in Pambashe, very well. We've worked together. We have connected all the programs very well, and we are so committed to continue with the same spirit.
Thereafter, Honorable Moyo traveled to Pambashe parliamentary constituency. He began the visit of Pambashe by paying a courtesy call on Senior Chief Mushota of the Chishinga Royal Establishment at his palace. After the courtesy call, Honorable Moyo proceeded to the parliamentary constituency office, where he was met by scores of Pambashe residents. Chief Mushota also joined scores of his subjects at the constituency office to demonstrate the importance of trees in the environment as he joined Honorable Moyo in the tree planting exercise at the office.
Twendele pamo ng'abaana kyalo nga twalaendera pamo l'okusunga ibyo baleetuleetera alamuka munaavimbi bagaleeta.
Honorable Second Deputy Speaker then had a meeting with the constituency office staff who shared some of their challenges in the rural constituency of Pambashe. The tour of duty by Honorable Moyo continued with the next stop being Chembe Parliamentary Constituency. The Honorable Deputy Speaker was met on arrival by the area Member of Parliament, Mr. Cliff Mpundu MP, and heads of department in the district. The Second Deputy Speaker then had a meeting with the Member of Parliament and staff of Chembe Parliamentary Constituency Office, at which they discussed issues with regards to improving the operations of the office.
Mr. Speaker, Chembe office does a lot of work in linking the people of Chembe and the Parliament. For example, the office is the information hub to keep disseminating information on Parliament and other developmental projects in the constituency. The office shares literature on how the constituents can fully participate in law-making processes. The office acts as a link between people and the Member of Parliament. The office is an active member of the District Development Coordinating Committee, DDCC. The office is the member of the Constituency Development Fund Committee, as it represents the Member of Parliament in the approval and monitoring of Constituency Development Fund. The office is also a member of Disaster Management Committee to oversee the expected calamity in the constituency. Your Honor, the office is also a member of the District Malaria Control. It is also a member of the District HIV Task Force. The office is a major stakeholder in the IDPC formulation, which is the Integrated Development Plan.
Parliamentary office, for it to be felt, especially at community level, especially in an environment like this one, we really need to have a fully fledged library where most of the people, especially the young ones, can be coming, and it is from there that they can be having the information which they can be disseminating out there. A lot of people would love to visit this office, And even these things that we are doing today that the Honorable Deputy Speaker has done, it can also, this office can be used as a tool to disseminate this.
Luapula is one of the provinces that have very good rainfall and very good fertile soils. So as a matter of policy, National Assembly decided that in all the constituencies across the country we'll be able to plant 1,000 trees. So for Chembe, I think it should be 5,000 because you've got very fertile soils and the rainfall pattern is okay. That can easily help us, because in other spaces we know that as much as we realize that most of the trees in nature are deciduous, in Zambia they drop their leaves during the dry spell. For Chembe the opposite is the case. I think due to weather there's no much loss of water because it rains for some time. So Luapula is one of the places that we are counting on. And also to appreciate how you've been integrated into the CDF planning process, because you are stakeholders. I've seen you've mentioned that you've got challenges with accommodation because it's a new district. So CDF, the honorable member, realizes that we know that it's people's needs driven.
The second Deputy Speaker's delegation briefly toured the Mwanawasa Bridge on Luapula River, which connects Zambia and the Democratic Republic of Congo due to its economic benefit to the two countries. The second Deputy Speaker thereafter proceeded to Bangweulu Parliamentary Constituency Office. He was met on arrival by the district departmental heads and constituency office staff. Honorable Moyo MP planted trees at the site chosen for the construction of a new parliamentary constituency office. Honorable Moyo MP thereafter retreated to the office and had a private meeting with the constituency staff where they discussed operations of the office. On his last leg of the tour of Luapula Province constituency offices, the second Deputy Speaker visited Chifunabuli Parliamentary Constituency. Honorable Moyo MP was met by departmental heads in Chifunabuli District and Area Member of Parliament Ms. Julian Nyemba MP and her staff at the constituency office. Honorable Moyo MP was also met by His Royal Highness Chief Chitembo of the Chitembo Chiefdom in Chifunabuli District. His Royal Highness Chitembo was also accorded an opportunity to plant a tree at the constituency office alongside Honorable Moyo and Ms. Nyemba MP.
Kuti chamoneka bwino mu myaka ile isa ifimu tivi fyakula bwino pakuti fyachingirira ko ing'anda yakwata ekishibiro kyakubona kuti ati n'ing'anda ya buteko kanshi nefimu tivi navyo ifwile fyasungwa bwino kuba bomvi abombela panomo kufimono kutila fyakula fyonse nje bifine twalimba.
Honorable Moyo MP and Ms. Nyemba then went into a meeting to discuss a number of issues affecting both the constituency office and the Chifunabuli constituency.
We are so grateful that you've given us this opportunity to be able to interact with you and your people.
The Honorable Deputy Speaker's tour to Luapula Province demonstrates the commitment of the National Assembly to improve operations in constituency offices and take Parliament closer to the people.
My eParliament mobile application. My eParliament is a mobile application developed by the National Assembly of Zambia in order to bring Parliament closer to you. You can download and install My eParliament from App Store or Play Store. Once installed, you can raise your concerns, provide your input, opinion and feedback on various projects or decisions being made in your constituency. On My eParliament mobile application, you can listen to Parliament Radio. You will have access to parliamentary documents such as bills and acts which are considered in Parliament. You also have access to National Assembly social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. You can also watch parliamentary debates live on our YouTube channel. Download My eParliament now. My eParliament, bringing Parliament closer to you. My eParliament mobile application. First, download the app on either Play Store or App Store and install. After installation, open the app. Step 1. Register your personal information, that's your names, gender, NRC and date of birth. Step 2. Add your contact information, your email, phone number and home address. Step 3. Select your constituency. Step 4. Create your 4-digit PIN. At this point, the system will send an SMS to your mobile number with a one-time passcode. Step 5. Confirm with one-time passcode that was sent to your mobile. Step 6. Sign in using your phone number and the 4-digit PIN. And Step 7. Create your submission and submit. My eParliament, bringing Parliament closer to you.
role of the presiding officer is to coordinate and manage the plenary sessions during the parliamentary sitting.
The role of the presiding officer in elections, I think, is in charge of the station is in charge at the polling station. Is overseer of everything, that is all the activities that are happening at the polling station. Is a presiding officer.
A presiding officer is a person who makes sure debates are done in a fair manner.
A presiding officer is a person who makes sure there's order and law in the house in case of anything. Yes, sir.
The law of a presiding officer is to make sure there is order in the house.
The law of the presiding officer in the parliament, debates are made in a light manner.
A presiding officer, this is someone who presides over a debate or a forum, and that is to be specific in parliament. Now this person ensures that there is a proper conduct in the hearing processes of the whole debate as parliament is in session, and this person also ensures that there are no delays in the whole procedures of parliament dealings.
This is basically ensuring there's order in the house. That's what I understand by the term, the role of the presiding officer in the house.
Well, very interesting views from the people out there on what they know on the issue to do with the presiding officer. You are now watching Voice of the People. My name is Paulson Tindovi, and it is a program that gives a platform to our people out there to express what they understand about parliamentary procedure that goes on the floor of the House. My guest on the program is the Deputy Principal Clerk from the Research Department, and this is Mr. Kabwiwi Mubanga. Thank you so much for finding time and appear on the Voice of the People program.
Yeah, thank you very much, Paulson. It's always a pleasure to join you on the set.
Briefly tell us your work here at the National Assembly as Deputy Principal Clerk Research.
Well, my role is to provide supervision to the senior research officers who are directly supervisors of the research officers. The research officers are the officers who provide, do the research for all the information requests that come from members of parliament. So my role is basically to just supervise the supervisors of the research officers.
What are some of the common requests that do come to your office from members of parliament?
Well, the most common request that has come is members of parliament requesting for us to do the research for them when they are about to move private members' motions. Especially on Wednesdays, you are aware, members of parliament do move those private members, urging the government to take a position or to do something on a particular issue. So we've seen that is actually very popular, and a number of members of parliament through the journals department, they do come to us requesting us to support them to get that information. The other information that I've seen that is actually coming out very common is where members of parliament also want us to give some historical information. Like somebody has just been elected as a member of parliament for a particular constituency, so they want to know who have been members of parliament in that constituency. So they want us to provide the names of the previous members of parliament, maybe the position they held, and if we have pictures for them. So that has also been actually a recurring request that we've been receiving from members of parliament. But the leading one is the one to get them information for them to be able to move private members' motions.
Today we look at the role of presiding officers, and we did get to hear some interesting responses from the general public, because we took a tour around the city of Lusaka just to interact with the local people to find out what they understand about the role of presiding officers. But who is a presiding officer?
Very interesting. I know it's the term itself is quite technical. I think that people may know presiding officers by different names. Now, simply put, a presiding officer is an official, a parliamentary official, who is in charge of the affairs of the House. So a presiding officer is this official who presides or superintends or is in charge of the sitting of members of parliament. So when parliament is called, they will meet from Tuesday to Friday. So all those times when they are meeting, somebody has to be in charge, who I would call Zambia is a footballing nation, eh? So a presiding officer is more or less like a referee. So a presiding officer is more or less like a referee whenever members of parliament are meeting to transact the business of the house.
Would you be in a position just to share with us the types of presiding officers that we have in the Zambian parliament?
Yes, I think that will even make it easier, person, because when we talk about presiding officers, which is a technical term, we are talking about the speaker. Okay, so we have the speaker. Then we have the speaker is assisted in carrying out our role by two deputies. So we have the first deputy speaker, and we also have the second deputy speaker. So those three officials are what are referred to as presiding officers, because when the speaker is not around, for whatever reason, the first deputy speaker is expected to act in that position. If for some reason the speaker and the first deputy speaker, they are all not around, then the second deputy speaker is expected to preside over the business of the house. So the three are what are referred to as presiding officers.
What about the clerks at the table? Some people may confuse the role of, I know we'll have a topic looking at the clerks at the table, but what is the difference?
Well, the difference is that the presiding officers, or what I would put in simple terms as political, on the political side of the National Assembly. Then the clerk and a team of the clerks at the table are on the administrative or staff. So Parliament has political officials, okay, and then Parliament also, or the National Assembly, has the administrative officers or staff of Parliament who support the presiding officer. So the presiding officers are in charge of the sitting of a house, ensuring that things are going as expected. Then for them to carry out that role, they have members of staff who are led by the clerk and are deputies. These are the ones who provide the advice to members, to the presiding officer. So as the presiding officers are carrying out their work, these are their brains, right? They are their support staff to ensure that the presiding officers actually carry out. So presiding officers are on the political side, then the other ones are administrative.
And how are presiding officers chosen or elected or selected?
Very interesting. I mean, it's something that is provided for in the Constitution. You notice that from Article 82 of our Constitution, Article 82 Clause 1 talks about there shall be the Honorable Mr. Speaker, and then
Madam Speaker.
Or Madam Speaker, yes, let me be gender sensitive. So it provides that it shall be the Speaker. Okay, so the Speaker and the two deputies, what happens is after every general election, like the previous general elections we had, it's expected that it's provided for in the Constitution that the President of the Republic of Zambia will nominate 3 individuals. Okay, so there'll be the Speaker, the one to be Speaker, the one to be first deputy Speaker, the other one to be second deputy Speaker. So the President will nominate those, and then other political groupings or political groups in the House do also nominate their own. And then the time will come now, on that designated time, the time will come when elections will be held, and those elections are held by secret ballot. And the elections are the presiding officer for that election of the Speaker, second deputy Speaker, is done by the clerk of the National Assembly. So the President will nominate, and then other political groups. Okay, so we have the ruling party, where the President belongs, and the other political party, they also nominate. And then now members of Parliament themselves will vote.
So the political party that will nominate a possible Speaker is a political party with a majority number of members of Parliament in the House?
Yes, part of them, yes. So the ruling party will nominate. Okay, so the ruling party who have the majority in our system, they will actually nominate. And then opposition parties, the ones that are not ruling, they also are expected to nominate. Okay, so it's possible that for some reason that the people nominated by the president may go unopposed if the opposition parties do not nominate their own candidates. Yeah, so we expect the ruling party, yes, and also the opposition parties to nominate their own.
What are the qualifications for one to become a presiding officer?
Well, I think we need to differentiate. You know, there's a speaker and the first and second deputy speaker. Okay, so you notice that from Article 82, Clause 2, it does stipulate what are the qualifications for one to be elected as speaker. One has to be a Zambian citizen. Okay, so one should not have dual citizenship. Okay, so then that person must, of course, may have been a grade 12. Then the person also should be, for speaker, I'm stressing that point, should not be less than 35 years. Okay, so the minimum age is that person should be 35 years and above to be speaker. Then when it comes to the two deputy speakers, of course the first deputy speaker is the person nominated is not among the 156 plus the 8 nominated. So this person is nominated is outside those elected or who are members of parliament. So that person needs to have the qualifications that an ordinary member of parliament needs to have. Of course, a Zambian citizen, at least a minimum of grade 12, 21 years, because that's what applies to a member of parliament. So that will be for the first deputy speaker, chosen or nominated from those outside the 156. But for the second deputy speaker, it has to be from amongst members of parliament. So this could be elected or nominated. So remember, there's no, once the president has nominated those 8, there's no difference in terms of status, in terms of the dignity. There's no difference between the elected and the nominated. So from amongst those the elected and the nominated, one of them could become a second deputy speaker. So with
introduce themselves, but before we even proceed, Honorable Chair, I wanted to make a correction. We are dealing with paragraph 42 as opposed to paragraph 54 as it shows on our. These are some of the mistakes we get from cut and paste. I think 2021 was paragraph 54, but for today I think it should read paragraph 42.
Thank you. You can proceed with introductions.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Abraham Lungu. I'm the head of procurement for Western Province.
Thank you very much. Good morning. My name is Patrick Sakani, Director of Finance, Western Province.
Good morning, Chairperson. My name is Emmanuel Bwanali, Provincial Maintenance Officer, Western Province.
Of your mic. You can start from beginning there for recording.
Okay. Good morning once again. My name is Emmanuel Bwanali, Provincial Maintenance Officer, Western Province.
I'm Matakala Litapelo, and the acting senior internal auditor.
Alan Smakando, the Chief Human Resource Management Officer.
Thank you. With the introductions, PS, let me comply with immunity in accordance with Cap 12 of the laws of Zambia, National Assembly Powers and Privileges Act, which gives you immunity as you make submission before this honorable committee. However, let me also make mention that the same law can work against you if you willingly intend to mislead this committee. PS, I'll ask you to proceed and make your submission, reading the query as it appears in the Auditor General's report, the amount where applicable, and the mitigation measures you are taking as a provincial admin. PS, you can proceed and make your submission. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair and the members of the committee. The mandate of the provincial administration is to coordinate and implement national programs and policies at the provincial level. I would now like to proceed as follows in answer to the queries arising from the audit findings. 2. An examination of accounting and other records for the financial year ended 31st December 2022 maintained at the provincial administration and 5 selected district offices for the period under review reviewed the following. A. Budget funding and expenditure. The estimates of revenue and expenditure for the financial year ended 31st December 2022, a total provision of 102,687,452 was made to cater for operations of the provincial administration and was fully funded. As at 31st December 2022, amounts totaling 102,683,717 were spent. In addition, provincial administration raised amounts totaling 5,450,193 kwacha for the Western Province Investment Expo from various stakeholders, out of which 4,297,057 kwacha had been spent, leaving a balance of 1,153,136. Controlling officer's response. The auditor's observations are noted. Please note that the balance of 3,735, which remained unspent from the operational funds, were aggregate ledger balances on several departmental lines that could not be spent by the departments as they were not sufficient to cover an activity due to their size. Further, the balance of 1,153,136 under the Western Province Investment Expo remained unspent, as we are still spending. We were spending at the time of the committee may wish to know.
Sorry, PS, as a point of order. Yes, Honorable Mwila. Yes, Honorable Mwila.
Thank you, Chair. You know, I just want to be sure that I have the same document that the witness is reading, because on 3 occasions I have noticed that some of the words that is reading out are not on the document that I have.
Thank you. PS, you stick to the submission which you've made, which we have before us. As you make your submission, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Under B, management of payroll and staff related matters. Bullet 1, overpayments of salaries to officers. During the period under review, 6 officers were placed on wrong salary scales. Consequently, the officers were paid amounts totaling 427,118 instead of 395,512, resulting in an overpayment of 31,606 kwacha. As at 31st July 2023, the overpayments had not been recovered and the salary scales had not been normalized. Controlling officer's response. The auditor's observations are noted. I wish to resubmit that 2 officers, that is the stadium caretakers, of the 6 officers were correctly paid in their salary scales of B, despite the establishment register showing A by a typo error. The erroneous salary scales have since been corrected in the 2023 establishment register. One officer, Mr. Daka, had a correct appointment letter with a correct salary scale, but placed on a higher notch due to the anomaly in circular number B19 of 2015, which stated, and I quote, "Certificate holders currently in service shall be placed in salary scale F notch 6. This has since been corrected. The other 3 officers were placed on wrong salary scales due to errors on their appointment letters showing a higher salary scale, resulting in an overpayment of salaries. The recoveries were fed and are running. Kindly note that management wrote to PSMD to have their appointment letters corrected. So far, 2 letters have since been normalized, remaining with 1 officer. Refer to copies of payslips, updated establishment register, and normalized appointment letters, which are given as Appendix A. Bullet number 2. Officers on payroll, but not staff returns. Section 3.5, Roman 1 and Roman 2 of the Treasury and Financial Management Circular number 6 of 2019 stipulates that controlling officers are in charge of managing the payroll under their respective heads of expenditure and ensuring that all employees under their charge are on the payroll stations they are working from. Contrary to the circular, the provincial administration paid salaries in amounts totaling 2,400,238 kwacha to 291 officers who were not on their staff returns. Controlling officers' response. The auditor's observations are noted. I wish to resubmit that these officers belonged to the Ministry of Agriculture and Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock, hence did not appear on the staff returns for provincial administration during the period under the review. Kindly note that the officers remained on the payroll during the time the ministries were under provincial administration in 2017, and they have since been moved to their respective line ministries' payroll. This was submitted for verification before the final Auditor General's report. Kindly refer to the minute dated 19th June 2023 from PSMD on Appendix B. Bullet number 3. Irregular payment of salaries to an officer who has not reported. On 26th July 2021, a principal internal auditor was transferred from the Ministry of Finance to Provincial Administration, Western Province, in the same capacity, but not reported to the station as at 31st December 2022. It was, however, observed that although the officer had not reported to the station, he was irregularly paid salaries in amounts totaling 222,453 kwacha for the period 1st January 2022 to 31st December 2022. I may be allowed to make a correction there. As at 31st December 2022, since we haven't reached 2023 December, the officer had still not reported and the funds had not been recovered. Controlling officer's response. The auditor's observations are noted. I wish to resubmit that the input on the payroll for inter-province is done by the super users at the Public Service Management Division, PSMD. Efforts were made to the Ministry of Finance to have the officer's salary blocked. A new officer has since reported. Further, the funds could not be recovered as the officer was working under the Ministry of Finance, and in connection with Public Service Management Division Circular number B7 of 2015, an employee on suspension or otherwise must be paid all his salaries and any other entitlement up to the date of his dismissal. Kindly refer to follow-up letters on the matter and the PSMD Circular number B7 of 2015, which are provided under Appendix C. The next bullet, irregular payment of salaries to dismissed officer. Public Service Management Division Circular number B1 of 2019, section 3 subsection D stipulates that employees who are separated from employment by way of resignation, dismissal or discharge should be terminated from the payroll with effect from the date of resignation, dismissal or discharge. Contract to the circular. A general worker was convicted by the subordinate court and subsequently dismissed on 13th August 2020. Was irregularly paid salaries in amounts totaling 103,140 kwacha for the period from the date of dismissal to 30th September 2022. As at 31st May 2023, the funds had not been recovered. Controlling officer's response. The auditor's observations are noted. Management regrets the delay in terminating the officer from payroll. The funds that were irregularly paid have since been recovered from his terminal benefits, amounting to 41,562 kwacha 9 ngwe for the period under review. Kindly refer to computation of his leave terminal benefits on Appendix D. C. Infrastructure development. 1. Construction of wall fence, social welfare. During the period under review, the provincial administration embarked on a project for the construction of a palisade fence at Community Development and Social Welfare offices in Mungu. The project involved 2 phases, namely Phase 1 and Phase 2. Phase 1. On 3rd January 2022, the provincial administration signed a contract with Grant Engineering and General Dealers at a contract sum of 196,497. The contract was from 28th February 2022 to 20th April 2022. As at 31st December 2022, the contractor had been paid an amount of 180,022 kwacha 15 ngwe, leaving a balance of retention funds of 16,475 kwacha. Phase 1 of the project included construction of a boundary perimeter fence overlooking the Mungu Sinanga Road opposite main ShopRite entrance with a total perimeter of 130 meters. Phase 2. On 23rd December 2022, the provincial administration signed another contract with Grant Engineering and General Dealers at a contract sum of 169,978. The project was for the period of 4 months from 6th January 2023 to 5th May 2023. As at 31st December 2022, the full payment of 169,978 kwacha had been made. Phase 2 of the project included construction of the boundary perimeter fence overlooking Mungu Lusaka Road with a total perimeter of 72 meters. The scope of works included the following: foundation, excavation and footing. 2. Raising of block works from foundation to 2 meters above the ground level. 3. Fixing and installation of metal works, that is angle irons, in between block works. 4. Plastering block work internally and externally. 5. Concrete coping at top of block work. The following were observed. A. 1. Irregular payment. On 23rd December 2022, the contractor was paid the full amount of 169,978 kwacha by bank transfer. It was, however, observed that the contractor was paid on the day the contract was signed and before the commencement of the works on 6th January 2023. Consequently, there was no interim payment certificate issued, rendering the payment irregular. 2. Poor workmanship. As at 31st May 2023, the works had not been completed in that plastering of block works and concrete coping had not been done. In addition, there were loose blocks, block work not aligned, and excavated foundation not fully backfilled. See the pictures below, there are some pictures. Controlling officers' response. The auditor's observations are noted. I wish to resubmit that phase 2 of the wall fence is completed. Kindly note that there were adjustments in the scope of work due to insufficient funds. The following items were adjusted or removed. 1. Plastering to block work internally and externally. 2. Concrete coping laid to fall. 3. Softwood formwork to sides of coping. And 4. Softwood to soffits of coping. With this adjustment to the scope, phase 2 of the wall fence is complete. The works done were equivalent to what was paid for. The payment was made on Friday 29th December 2022 and not on 23rd December 2022 as observed. Refer to the proof of payments. Kindly note that the funds for the construction of the wall fence were already supplementary from the previous year, 2021. Therefore, a decision needed to be made before the funds would be mopped back to the Treasury. In addition, There was also a request from the contractor to be paid in full before he could proceed with phase 2 of the works, as he had financial challenges and he was still owed money from phase 1. Management called for a meeting to discuss the way forward vis-a-vis to avoid losing out on the funds which were already a supplementary from the previous year 2021, and resolved to pay the contractor. Chairperson, it was due to the above said reasons that the contractor was paid in full on phase 2, as he was still owed money from phase 1, and to avoid losing out on funds due to mopping by the Treasury. I wish to report that the contractor was closely monitored and supervised, and that the work has since been completed to our satisfaction. Kindly refer to the proof of payment and the minutes on Appendix E. Chairperson, I submit and I thank you.
Thank you, PS, for your submission. Honorable colleagues, that's a submission from PS. And we can proceed with A, budget funding and expenditure. And I've seen a lot of payroll issues, which I think we can just make recommendations. We dealt with that in the payroll report, so all we need to see PS is improvement, because we cannot be going back to these issues, which I think were adequately looked at by the members. So members, you can proceed. Honorable Mukumbi, then Honorable Mwila.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, PS, for this good report. PS, you had 1 million plus. To be very specific, I think 1,153,136 unspent funds from the Expo funds. I want to know, when was this Expo held? That's number one. Number two, why has it taken you so long to spend the said funds? Did you budget for the funds, or they just came by accident? Chair, I submit.
Thank you, Honorable Mwila.
Thank you, Chair. PS, on top of the questions that Honorable Mukumbi has asked, I also want to focus on this 1.1 million that remained from the Expo. I want to find out if the expenses that you continued to spend, exhausting this 1 million, were related to the Expo activities, or were not related but were general expenses for the province. But thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Honorable Amnima.
Thank you, Chair. What is your current balance from this 1.1 million as of today?
Thank you. PS, you can proceed with those 3 questions.
The Expo dates. The Expo took place in October last year, from the 10th of October to the 15th of October. So it's more than 1 year ago. Now, these balances are all related to Expo, not to general administration of the province. There were monies which are owed to providers of services and goods to the Expo. But like in everything of such a magnitude, we had to do a lot of reconciliations. And there have been moving balances. As we speak now, most of this money has been paid to the various suppliers for the services, and I think at the last check, what is remaining is 92,000 kwacha. We are still trying to reconcile with the supplier, as we may not agree on certain aspects of what they are claiming. But that's a moving balance. Now, the budget, or they budgeted for, yes, I'll say they were budgeted for. This is things like getting marquees, getting chairs, getting that type of thing, getting projectors. They were budgeted for in our plan. But suffice to say, like I was saying, there are moving balances, and we have been paying, and now there's only about 92,000. I think that answers the three questions. Have I left anything? The date, whether they were budgeted or related to the expo, or are we doing it for provincial administration? No. In fact, you may wish to know, Chair, we didn't really break even. The expenses are slightly more than the revenue. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Follow-up questions, Honorable Mkumbi.
Chair, the PS is saying he thinks there's 92 remaining. This is a committee of facts. Director Finance is here. Probably can give us the correct amounts of balances remaining, rather than saying I think there's 92. Maybe it could be more, could be less.
Thank you. Any other question? Director of Finance, you can proceed.
Maybe to be precise on the actual amount, from the balance that is sent to my phone as any transaction goes through on that account, shows 91,285.50 ngwe. That is the exact amount in the account. Chair, I submit.
Thank you. We can make progress, Honorable Amnyima.
Chair, PS saying didn't break even, so that's not good to hear. But out of this balance, so it means you're still paying suppliers, or there's a reconciliation ongoing.
Thank you. Any other question on any subject on the queries? Yes, Honorable Mfarad.
Maybe, Chair, you finish the issues of these administrative issues, then we'll go to the offense.
Thank you, Honorable Mwila. Okay, maybe let the PS answer the question from Honorable Amnyima. Then now we can wind up on the. I think I've given guidance on the payroll-related matters, unless very, very burning things we can look at, because we'll just be reinventing the wheel. PS, you can answer Honorable Wamnyima's question.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yes, there are still some few expo activities. Like I was saying, the size of the event itself meant that we had also engaged an event manager, and we had also our own expo desk. So sometimes there seems to be some overlap on what is being claimed from the expo desk and what is being claimed from the event, through the event manager. So we try to match this and verify that we are not making double payments. That's why it's taking this long. But I would say the expo was a successful event, except for these reconciliations. We don't want to pay when we are not satisfied that we should pay. No, thank you.
Thank you. We can proceed to the offense. Honorable Mwila. Yes, Honorable Amnyima. Is it before the offense? Yes. Okay, proceed, Honorable Mwila, then Honorable Amnyima.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to page 3, crossing over to page 4. Regarding the irregular payment of salaries to a dismissed officer, the audit report is saying, now on page 4, that the irregular amounts was totaling 103,140 kwacha, but what has been recovered according to the response is 41,562 kwacha 9 ingwe. So there's still a difference to be recovered. So PS, my question through the chair is, how do you intend to recover the balance from this dismissed officer? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Amnima.
Chair, on this irregular payment of salaries to an officer who did not report, this Secular B, an employee on suspension, otherwise it must be paid. Is it the submission of the PS that this officer who was supposed to come was actually suspended before he could come? Because this circular quoting is talking about an employee on suspension or otherwise must be paid his salaries. So I want to understand if this officer who's not reported to Western Province was suspended, is it the reason why he didn't report?
Thank you. I hope PS you've gotten the last submission, because you are quoting a circular which is authenticating paying someone who wasn't reporting or who wasn't reported, that they can be paid half pay if they're on suspension. So maybe clarify what is the status of this officer. Was it transferred and not reported? If he was transferred and not reported, I mean, what's the justification for drawing a salary? I think that's what the honourable member means. You can proceed with those 2 items.
Thank you very much, Chair. The person who didn't report didn't even fill up he didn't complete any arrival advice. So to say the truth, he never came to Western Province, and how he was put on our payroll would be to the Ministry of Finance to know. At that level, it's not our end users, it would be the super users who would do that. We don't know why he was left on our payroll and why he continued. We even at various times, the former acting PS did write to Finance to ask where this ended, to ask him. And we also did write, I personally did write when we found this, to Ministry of Finance to remove this person or block his salary. So that would be for Ministry of Finance, really. Maybe our answer is a bit misleading. The man never hit our office. He never signed any documentation. Maybe we are wrong to refer to that submission. He never came. Then the man who was dismissed and continued, you may wish to know that this is a legacy issue. We don't know why it took so long or why it had to take the audit to do this. As soon as it came to our attention, we recovered what we could recover. Then, for the balance, there is a big difference, yes. We have written to NAPSA because we assume this man, he was, as a general worker, he was contributing to NAPSA. We wrote to NAPSA advising them that when his payments are due, although, sir, Honorable Chair, to say the truth, that would be when he reaches retirement age. I don't know whether anybody will remember to recover from him, but we have written, we have put it on record. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Follow-up question, Honorable Mwila.
Yes, Chair. I think on this issue, the controlling officer and the team really need to be honest if ever this money is going to be recovered, because the terminal benefits under their control have been exhausted. And for what I know, NAPSA pays, it's a monthly, and this are going to say that, they don't channel, and by law, I don't think that even NAPSA can do what you are asking them to do, because you cannot place a lien on someone's, pension benefit. I think, Chair, they have to think of other avenues to recover this money. That route of NAPSA is not going to work. The law will simply make it not work. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mnima. Did you have a...
Chair, I think we moved to the offense, but we should expand from the submission. This circular being quoted here is not has no connection to the officer, so it needs to be expunged from the submission for purposes of record, so that what the PS has submitted in his verbal should match his document. So I think we can move to the offense.
Thank you. PS, those submissions from the honorable members, especially on the recovery is a balance, which I think puts you in a very tight position pertaining on how you can recover those funds moving forward, because those other interventions are very slim that you recover these funds. And I think that's why even last time we appeared, we really emphasized on these payroll matters that your officers need to be up to speed to ensure that government does not lose funds, because even in the mere recoveries which are made, sometimes you find it takes so long, and there's opportunity cost for money gotten now, and you recover it maybe in the next 6-7 years. You are recovering 400 kwacha and all that. I think it's a detriment to the government and the treasury. That's why payroll matters. I mean, we're all aware 50%, if not 48 to 50% of the budget is personal emoluments. So it's a very important aspect which I think should not be overlooked, even by your people in charge of human resource and inputs, to ensure that as and when I think some of these things can be quickly mitigated moving forward. We will proceed to the offense. Honorable Mfarari, do you have a question on the offense?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I've looked at the issue of the offense, and controlling officer is saying he had a contract with this company to build a war fence in phase 1 and phase 2, but I've not had sight of the contract that you signed, if there was any contract. And then in your letter or in your meeting or minutes that you had as a province, your procurement officer says he used an LPO for him to arrive at this 191, the amounts to be paid to this 169. There's amounts to be paid to this contractor. Could we have a sight of the contract if you have it? That we look at this contract. That's 1. 2, you're also indicating that you had to pay based on this meeting. I don't know what this meeting was. Was this a provincial management meeting or it was a procurement meeting? It's got no title, it's got no secretary. I submit, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mkumbi.
Chair, I was just going through some calculations here. The first phase, he was charging about 1,500 per meter. And within 10 months, he was charging you 2,300 per meter. What was the increase attributed to? Is it cost of materials or what? But the increase is quite huge within the same year. The first one was about 130 meters. Then the second one was just for 72 meters. And then the quotations, there are some variations in the quotations. So I want to know what's attributed to that. That's number one. Number two, you also pay this particular company full payment in phase 2, full, without any IPCs or without anything done. So what motivated you to make a full payment, controlling officer, to the contractor for works that were not done? You pay someone who has done nothing. What motivated you? Chair, submit.
Thank you, Honorable Mnyima.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I am struggling to understand what sort of contract this was. I think we need to see this contract. You are saying in your submission that you made payments because the contractor had financial challenges. But what were your agreed terms with the contractor? Because do we pay because the contractor has... It's not our problem that he has financial challenges. A contract, an offer, there's an agreement. So the contractor doesn't stick to the offer and says they have financial challenges. Then you pay. What was informing this this payment? So we want to see the contract, Chair, so that we understand how, if this contract had a clause which would say we must pay on the basis of financial challenges. I think that's what is very concerning with this particular contractor, who systematically increased the contract sum. I don't know whether if you increased the contract sum, you renewed, signed a fresh contract. So I think, Chair, before we even interrogate, where is this contract?
Thank you. Director of Finance and Aid Procurement. I think for me, I want you to stipulate the law which allows you to pay in advance before you get any services. Is there such a law in government? Is there such provisions under the Public Finance Act number 1 of 2018 or the Procurement Act number 8 of 2020? Cite that law which tells you or which informed you as a provincial admin to go and pay in advance this aforesaid contractor. Through the PS you can proceed. Those 3 questions from the honorable members plus my question. PS you can proceed, and then I want my questions to be answered by Director of Finance and Head of Procurement. But for now, PS you can proceed with the other questions.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'll allow my colleagues to comment or provide answers as per the questions. But before I do that, I would like to make an apology here before the committee that what was the motivation? The motivation was for the money not to be mopped back into the treasury, but to finish that project. So
PS,
sincerely,
before you proceed, you can switch off your mic, PS. That's not that reason is not admissible. You know the standard procedures. You can write for retention of funds. Your Director of Finance knows, and you also state the reasons to the Secretary to Treasury, such that you highlight how urgent and that you need to do this particular program, and you are seeking authority to retain funds. So for me, I think that is not admissible. So if that's your submission, allow your Director of Finance and Head of Procurement to, I want them to answer those questions, because they are directly involved in this transaction. That is my submission, honorable colleagues.
Noted, Chair. So I don't know who do you want to start first.
Any direct procurement you can start, then finance you can come in.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I wish to state that there is no law in the Public Procurement Act that permits the payment should be paid in full. there is no law in the public... Push it down? Okay, thank you. There is no law in the Public Procurement Act that permits that the payment should be paid in full before the contractor works. That's my submission. Then two, the provisions of the Act that was quoted there did not permit the payment. It was something that was, because there was a query that was queried at first to say there was no contract. At first, the first query, I think the Auditor General would ascertain to that. So now we are trying to explain to say, according to the section 182, 1, 2, and 3 of the Public Procurement Act, any low value procurements, 1 million and below, an LPO stands as a contract, and that is stipulated. So that section had nothing to do with the payment. I'll leave it over to Director of Finance.
Director of Finance.
Thank you very much, Chair. As it has been elaborated that there is no law that allows a payment, advance payment in full. The contract usually would state the conditions on how you pay an advance payment, and usually it's 25% of the contract amount. What informed us as finance to make the payment is one, the request came with an LPO, which was fully signed, and arising from the agreement of the management meeting that we proceed to make payment before the funds are mobbed. That's how we proceeded. Chair, I thank you.
And in your own vein, Director of Finance, do you think that's according to the financial regulations, is that correct what you did together with management? Honorable Amnima wanted to that before you come in. Honorable Amnima.
Where are the minutes for that management meeting?
Thank you. Before Director of Finance proceeds, honorable colleagues, this is it's not even right. They can't even base that on management. That's an illegality. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. The Director of Finance, you understand your role. You are a chief advisor to the PS. You cannot do that. All you need to do is retain the funds and follow the procedure. IPC is done, certified, you pay. The second, you pay until you finish. You cannot do that. That is out of context. I don't think there will be a reason, honorable colleagues, which warrant an explanation on what transpired. For me, I don't think there's no reason, because the procedure is straightforward. And provincial admin, even in, I think prior, you've done that before. You ask for retention of funds. It ends there. We can't even be submitting according to management resolution agreement. Then we are usurping the law which we are supposed to adhere to in terms of financial accountability. Honorable colleagues, I don't think there's anything which will substantiate this, apart from that they've abrogated the Public Finance Act number 1 of 2018, and there is no rebut they can give to that effect, or to convince this committee to say that what they did was correct. That is my submission. Honorable Mufarante.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with you. There is no substitute to all this. Obedience is better than sacrifice. But the other question I have for them, Chair, is you have not provided a BOQ of this project, and you, in your explanation, you are saying on shoddy works, you are saying the works were shoddy, or the works look shoddy, because you had to do away with plastering inside and outside. Could we just have a look at your BOQ that informed this decision to build this wall fence? And what was removed for it to start looking shoddy as it is? And if, Chair, if this wall fence is complete, where is the completion certificate for this wall fence and handover?
Thank you, Honorable Amnima, and then Honorable Mwila.
Chair, I'm at sea. These payments, there were no interim payment certificates for you to build up momentum to pay. You paid everything in advance, and I'm reading your meeting here. I don't even understand. The contractor, through the preventive maintenance officer, asked for a full payment. as they were still owed money retention from the phase 1 project. What does a full payment have to do with retention? The preventive maintenance officer, can he or she help us? How they received this request? Where is the preventive? Can they help us? How do you receive a request of a full payment? In what capacity were you receiving a request for full payment? Because, Chair, this is really unacceptable. Payment for works not done. This is government resources you are committing. And you are relating this to retention, money for it. What is the relationship with paying for things not done and retention? Maybe, Chair, I need to understand.
Thank you.
This.
Thank you, Mr. Honorable Mwila.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I entirely agree with you that, whatever the controlling officer and the team have put to justify these actions are unacceptable. Actually, this was a very gross illegality that was done. And the Chair, I don't know what we do now, because clearly the whole management was aware that from start to the end they were committing an illegality. They must have been aware. But they went ahead to misuse public funds in this manner. You also observe, Chair, here that phase 2, after it was signed, 169,000, it was paid in full based on the original scope. After it has been paid, and I'm sure these shoddy works were visible for everyone to see, the response is saying there were adjustments to the scope. How do you make adjustments to the scope after you have paid in full? You make adjustments just to suit what the contractor said have done within this manner. That's also another unprofessional conduct and illegality. Chair, it requires just further forensic investigation to establish exactly what was the motivation for committing such a gross illegality. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. For the sake of answering, if I look at the composition of people who were present, the chairperson is there, the PS is there. Now I want internal audit. You, the advisor to the management. Why did this happen? Then the maintenance person, I don't think is a tail end. Procurement, as explained, which is not, for me, is not mostly sitting on him. Yes, is below 1 million. We do agree with that. But what motivated this full payment? I think that's where the problem is, PS. So, Madam Internal Audit, can you tell us, you were part of that meeting. What did you advise the PS when they wanted to make this full payment? You are the advisor. Remember your role, you are the advisor to ensure that internal controls are adhered to, as well as the public finance. If Director Finance has proceeded, you are the one who needs to come in and say this cannot proceed, this payment cannot pass. Did this? Why did you allow such a thing? You can proceed through the PS, internal audit.
Thank you. As internal audit, we expressed reservations and concerns during the meeting, but as management, they felt compelled to go ahead and pay. But as internal audit, we expressed reservations during the meeting. I submit.
Do you have evidence of that, Madam Internal Audit, that there were reservations? And when did you write up something to the PS and say you are not comfortable with such a transaction? You can proceed through the PS.
I think the PS can testify to that. They submit.
So PS, you're on your own.
No,
before you proceed, Honorable Mwamba, then Honorable.
Yeah, they have not answered our questions. We have questions that are pending. I think we need answers to those questions.
PS, there are questions. Before Honorable colleagues come in, which Honorable may have?
I think I requested for a BOQ because they are, in their answer they are saying they had to change the scope of works. So you can only, when you look at what they had planned earlier on, to see what was involved and what reduction it is. Because the auditors are saying these were shoddy works. Even when it's as it is, the whole thing is shoddy, in short. That is one. Two, I requested for certification of these works. Who was certifying these works? It's not there. Where is the handover certificate? They are saying the offense is finished. Where are the certificates to indicate that the works have been done, certified, and handed over back to the department? All that is not there. So I don't know. Really, I don't know. And further, this is not, this management meeting does not constitute a procurement meeting. I don't know. Because even when you, if we put on spot any of the officers who were, you know the approvals, how they are done on procurement, especially on agreement. The list is drawn. You indicate your signature that you agree. Where you are not agreeable, you leave it. You don't sign for it. That's the standard that is there in terms of when you come up with a provincial procurement team. I think you indicate those who are agreeable, they will sign. Those who are not agreeable, they will leave it. They won't sign for it. But this one, it's just, I don't know, it's a minute, an afterthought, actually. This is just an afterthought. Where if you really had all these documents and arguments, this matter was not going to come here. I don't think you could have brought it up to here. You could have resolved with the auditors at the province. But with this is not a procurement minute. I don't see it, Chair. Procurement minute would have indicated those who are agreeable and those who are not agreeable. But this one is just a minute which shows that the people who attended. And even when we ask any officer, say, were you agreeable to this? They will all start saying, no, even as we reserved. But if there was the names to agree to a position, you indicate, you sign for it. So maybe now let them tell us who certified the works and the BOQ and certificate of completion.
Thank you, Honorable Mamba.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. These same minutes of the meeting, the Chairperson advised everybody to endeavor adhering to applicable laws and regulations. Already you're advising, but you're doing contrary. Now, the second thing, this meeting was held on the 20th of December 2022. Payment 9 days later was already effected. How possible was it that that same meeting is the one, it was the starting meeting, it already approved everything, and payment was already done nine days later? Already there is an issue there that is not quite right, because procurement cannot be done from date of meeting, date of payment, 9 days, full payment. Controlling officer, what went on? Or what went wrong in this instance? Because everything is just... Coming back to you.
Honorable Mkumbi.
Chair, you did ask a very good question to the person from audit. Government is about commitment to paper. If you are not agreeable, you had all that latitude to write to the PS that you don't agree with such a payment, and that can protect you anywhere. In the absence of that, when you say I spoke with him, it's speculation. So we can't buy that. Second is, Chair, I did ask here, within the same year, for 130 meters, you paid 196. For 72 meters, you paid 169. What informed the changes? Is the cost of material? Because if you look at the scope of work, it's one and the same. But you are paying 1.5 in the first phase, then you are paying 2,300 per meter in the second phase, within the same budget. What changed? What informed you? What changes were there? Is it the market price of the materials or what? More so, both of them, you went on to pay in full. First phase, I think there was a balance of maybe 60 kwacha or something like that. Second phase, again, you paid in full. So we're not getting answers, Chair. Chair, submit.
Thank you, honorable colleagues. Usually this payment, Honorable Amnima would say the miraculous payment. How it ensured that it was paid, we don't know. Honorable colleagues, you won't get any befitting answers because this one has no rebuttal. But however, I'll allow PS to proceed and make submissions, and also there's the issue of the BOQ completion certificates, and then you allow your Director of Finance has been raising their hand to make a submission. So PS, you can proceed.
Thank you very much, Chair. The BOQ, it's not that it's not there, it's here. The BOQ is here. So there was a BOQ. And then the completion certificates, the certificate of practical completion is also available. So they are there. And then what the internal auditor says is true. It's not in writing, but she expressed reservation. So at least I'm her witness to that. I take the blame. I'll take the blame. And also, let's say, I know it's a bit difficult to understand why we may have moved in one direction. Phase 1, actually, if you look at phase 1 does not have problems because it followed procedure. I think we are talking about phase 2. Then, how did we know about the money? The money was what was remaining in the account. So it didn't arise from some quotation. Say, you do this. This money for this project is outstanding. It's here. And if we don't use it on the project, then the money will be mopped up. So that was what we tried to explain. I'm very sorry we did that, that's what I was saying. But I just wanted to answer on the bill of quantity and the certificate of practical completion. These are available.
Honorable colleagues, we take position because you can proceed. Honorable Amnima, Honorable Farrar, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, PS, for your submission. Chair, I want to know the IPCs, where are they for this? How do you arrive at completion certificate without IPCs? Each stage. But of course you won't have them because you paid, so there are no stages. Yes. But where are the IPCs controlling office? And procurement, how was this contractor selected?
Honorable Farari.
Thank you, Chair. Controlling officer, I don't think what you are submitting, if it was anything to go by, if you had these documents, I don't think this query would have come up this stable. Why were you not giving all these documents to the auditors at the time of verification when they were trying to understand what was going on? Why did you have a challenge to provide what you are providing to us? And who was supervising, who was the project manager for this? And that's why I think Honorable Mnyima is asking for interim certificates, because at every stage, I think the officer who is in charge of his structures knows what he's supposed to do. And that, whether you have paid in full, at every stage there must be approvals that are made. And that's why Honorable Mnyima is asking where are the interim certificates, because at every stage, based on your BOQ, based on also your whether verbal or written agreements, you should have indicated the foundation, how at this level you come and inspect, and where these people just building all the way up to the end, and then because they were paid in advance, there were no inspections that were going on. And then even the same completion certificates, if you had put them here, we would have looked at them. But now you are bringing them here just as standalone documents, and then you're telling us we have completed. I mean, when you have a query controlling officer, you put all the documents together so that it reduces on the number of questions that are arising or suspicions that could arise based on, first of all, the payment that was made in full. Then you put everything together so that we look at them. So, where are the certifications?
Chair, you can't arrive to a total of 169 without IPCs. How do you even arrive to this total? Because this should be cumulative based on the phase. So I understand that there was a concern that resources may be mopped up, but just the full payment itself, controlling officer, we have a big issue with issuing a full payment without IPCs, number one, and can procurement assist us on the manner in which this contractor was selected?
Thank you. PS, you are making honorable colleagues labor to all those gaps. Honorable colleagues, the contract was, the payment was, if I were the contractor, being on the other side, I give you a bill of 150 or 160, you pay me the full payment. Why should I even raise an IPC? You've paid me. I just build and finish and go. So for me, they messed up the whole system, because in an ideal situation, I'll do a footing, I'll do my first pillars, then I'll write, money has finished, this I've done, they certify, they pay me. Now they give me 2 million contract, they pay me the 2 million. Why should I even waste time to go and wait for approval? I just blast it, finish, and then, so all those were messed up. That's why from my earlier submission is, there's no reason they'll give to substantiate how they conducted themselves. But PS, proceed.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think the practicality of IPCs falls into what you are saying. The IPCs are there for interim payments, but the payments were made in full. So at the time of the audit, the job had not been completed yet. At the time the audit was being made, the job had not been completed at that particular time. But like I started by admission. So maybe I can ask, as per your guidance, that the head of purchasing and supply responds further.
Thank you. Head procurement, proceed.
Thank you, Chair. I think mine will tackle the issue of how the contractor was engaged. I wish to draw the attention of the committee that the said contractor was already on site working. He was given the first phase, which is phase number 1. And he did not move out of sight. And then according to circular number 3 of 2017, which was repealed, circular number 14, I think 2022, it stipulates on the possibility how we can direct bid. So we looked at it, looking at time, we had little time, I think before the close of the year. Then secondly, there was already a contractor on site doing the similar work. It was not possible for us to bring a different contractor to come and do the work. So we relied on that circular. It's permissible in the public.
Thank you, procurement. Honorable colleagues, I beg that we take position and because there is no answer. Even what procurement is talking about does not substantiate what transpired. Those are processes in an ideal situation. That's what should happen. But what happened is not just, cannot be justified. Unless, honorable colleagues, you've got any clarifications. But for me,
no, Chair, just a comment. You see, this phase 1, the period was from 28th February to 20th April 2022. And so from April to December, you sign a contract for phase 3 on 23rd December. So from April to December, you had no time based on regulations. Because you see, it's even questionable that what procurement is explaining, that the law allows us direct bid and so forth. Just to say we just selected him again, because you had time. If you wanted another, unless the submission by the PS is not correct, because his submission is contract period phase 1, February to April 2022, and phase 2, 23rd. So, Chair, I think we just take position. We will continue to labor. Of course, laws may allow you, but in a situation where you are doing such payments and you're not subjecting this to competition, there's adjustment of BOQs, of course we are concerned. We have to be concerned. And we can't accept that there was no time. There was plenty of time. Chair, I submit we take position.
Thank you. That's a comment, Head of Procurement. And for me, like I said earlier, nothing would justify the action of the provincial admin, especially on the payment. And the PS, as I said, is very, very sorry to what transpired. And I don't think, for me, there's no reasoning which will substantiate that. Honorable Ferrari, before we close.
I had a question in relation to inspection of this project. What is he called? The project manager or buildings? Is that buildings? That's buildings.
Depending on whom we choose as project manager.
No. I want the person who is in charge at the province for these projects. Was he the one in charge of the projects?
Yes.
He the one in charge of projects in the province. Now, if we are asking for your certifications, controlling officer, through him, through you to him, where are the certificates? What, as a person who is in charge of infrastructure in the province, what were you doing to ensure that things are done rightly? Because there's nothing on the table to show that you are inspecting these things. And that's why the auditors are saying it was shoddy. According to these pictures that we have on with us here, it was all shoddy. Where are the inspection reports? If this thing was rising, is this what we are getting maybe for all the other projects where you are supposed to have a hand in it?
Thank you. Mr. Bwanali, were you generating progress reports for the project, as it were, from inception to completion? I think that's what honorable colleagues are asking. You can proceed and make your submission through PS.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I think through PS, we were generating progress reports. The only thing we couldn't do is generate certificates of payment, because the payments were already done, everything was already paid. But the inspections were done. Thank you.
Wow. Honorable Mukumbi, I think we are closing now. Unless there's a different... there's no answer which will come. We're just going around circles. We can proceed,
yes,
sir.
Chair. That's what I wanted to say. Shall we make progress? Because more things will keep coming. For instance, in your report you are saying this contract was from February to April. That's what is here. Unless the PS is lying to the committee, which I don't think. So it was phase 1. Phase 1 was from February to April. Then phase 2 was from January to somewhere around May 2023. Around, yeah, from January. It's here. It's in your report. From 6th January to 5th May. That's what you signed for. Now you are telling us, by the time you were signing this, the contractor was still on site. Doing what on site? When the period was, phase 1 was from February to April. Are you telling this committee that this person couldn't finish the work in that 2 months? He kept on working until December? So you just bring out more and more issues. We read these things that you present to us. So don't provoke us to go deeper. Chair, it's a bit.
Thank you. Honorable Ferrari, thank you.
They are connecting retention. Retention, How long were you supposed to retain his money? Did you meet the criteria for the retention? You want to use retention to say we paid him because there was money retained? No.
It's not even connected. That's a defects period when you hold that money, and those mitigations can be done. Honorable colleagues, thank you. I know you've... Honorable Mwila. Yes, you can proceed.
So, no, we are wrapping up, Chair,
Yes.
but for the sake of the record, I should actually have raised this query at the beginning for the sake of having the correct submission. On page 3, I think they quoted the auditor's report wrongly on a certain date. On page 3, under irregular payment of salaries, under irregular payment of salaries to an officer who has not reported. In this submission, the controlling officer is saying, as at 31st December 2023. Oh, okay. I missed that. Thank you.
He corrected it. He said it's supposed to be 2022. PS, thank you so much for coming before this honorable committee. You've seen how the committee has labored to understand some of those issues, and we don't, I think moving forward, such things shouldn't happen, as it were. It's important that we follow the laid down guidelines. Director of Finance, I'm speaking on your phone. Honorable Muda, can you switch off the mic? So, PS, those things are not supposed to happen, and your Director of Finance should be your chief advisor as well as procurement to ensure that you follow the stipulated guidelines in terms of, that's why you have those specialists to help you, just like internal audit did. But I don't know why you even had to proceed, because it's simple. You can just ask for retention of funds, which is straightforward, and give the solid reason. I don't see any reason Secretary to Treasury will refuse to grant you such an authority. The issues of payroll queries, I think we cannot overemphasize that. We've spoken about this with yourself in this same committee, and we did made very, very strong recommendations looking at how payroll is sitting in terms of personal emoluments in the budget, which are between 48 to 50% of our budget is personal emoluments. So it's very, very important that payroll matters are adhered to, and to ensure that corrections are made, because from time to time people are being transferred in and out of the province as well as line ministries. So you as controlling officers with your end users or whatever you call them and HR department, that these things are mitigated, and we don't want moving forward to be seeing such issues. I think there are spot on issues. We've got times when you need to do your inputs through the PEMEX system, and all your super users as well as public service management division. So we implore you that those things are worked on, and we don't want to see such occurrences in your provincial admin. And also the issues of budget funding and expenditure, those balances which culminated in you making an irregular payment or just an illegality for that fact, shouldn't be entertained. Our role as Public Accounts Committee is to ensure that we provide oversight to the executive, to ensure that there's prudential management of funds, which ensures that there's service delivery to the people of Western Province and many other ministries. So we implore you that you make those amendments, those corrections. As a committee, that is our position. So let me thank you most sincerely for coming before this honorable committee. And sir, your immunity has been lifted and you are free to go. Thank you so much.
Of course, would be elected, you would have been. course, at least a
You can now advertise on Parliament Television and Parliament Radio. For more information, call 0977 854102 or 0977 536487. Parliament Television, bringing Parliament closer to you.
Good morning and welcome.
Morning, Chair. Thank you for welcoming us.
Thank you. I would like to apologize as a committee for starting the meeting late. I'm sure you've observed there's so many committees meeting. We have some members who have funerals. Some have traveled to Kabwe, so we are struggling with quorums because of the activities which are going on at the moment. However, we thank you for coming. I would ask you to introduce yourselves. Thereafter, members of Parliament will introduce themselves. Over to you, sir.
Chair, thank you very much, and we are truly honored to appear before this committee. My name is Stephen Mbewe. My substantive position, I'm the Director of Planning and Information, but I'm appearing as Acting Permanent Secretary. The Permanent Secretary is out of the country at the moment. I will ask my colleagues to introduce themselves, starting with Director Transport.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning, honorable members. My name is Nkumbu Siame. I'm the Director of Transport in the Ministry. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members. My name is Chisoka Laki, and I am the Principal Road Transport Officer in the Ministry of Transport and Logistics. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members. Engineer Emmanuel Sampa, Assistant Director responsible for road and railway transport in the Ministry of Transport and Logistics.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorables. My name is Ndubi Mvula, Public Relations Officer in the Ministry of Transport and Logistics.
Mr. Mbewa and your team, good morning. I am Anton Cassandra, Member of Parliament for Bangor constituency. And Chair, on the lighter note, there is no director for canals in this committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Minister of Transport and Logistics, you are most welcome for appearing before this committee. My name is Charles Abel Mulenga. I'm the Member of Parliament for Kwacha constituency, which is in Kitwe on the Copper Belt, and also a member of this committee you are appearing before. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, witness. My name is Sande Chanda, Member of Parliament, Kanchibia constituency. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, thank you so much. My name is Mtoto Kafuaya, MP for Lunte constituency. Just to highlight to my honorable brother that canals are also part of transport. Just for those. And no aircraft, no.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, witnesses. I'm Lusale Simbao, Member of Parliament for Rwansha constituency.
Good morning, Minister of Transport and Logistics. My name is Darius Kunda from the Office of the Clerk.
And Muvika Muvika, MP for Shangoman Western Province and the chairperson of the committee. Feel free, because you are privileged to have two of us here who are your brothers. So feel free to submit. And as you submit, I would like to comply with Chapter of the Laws of Zambia, the immunities which you enjoy as members of Parliament, which entails that whatever you are going to submit here, no one can take you to any court of law in the land. However, the same can be used against you if you decide to deliberately mislead the committee. But of course, knowing where we are coming from, your abilities, you are not here to mislead us, but to talk and brainstorm with us what is needed for our country. So, over to you, Minister of Transport and Communication.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, transport development corridors are a very economic and vital economic systems that are required, especially for landlocked countries like Zambia. Over the years, in order for us to be able to get to think more positively about our geographical position, we consider ourselves to be land-linked. And in our land-linkedness, we would like to be able to access various ports so that the different historical lessons we've learned when UDI happened, when even in the modern era, other countries have come up with non-tariff barriers, we have pursued a strategy of having to be members of various transport corridors. The two that we are appearing before your committee to discuss is the Walvis Bendola Lubumbashi corridor and the Lobito corridor. The major issue for us is to be able to ensure that the corridors that we are joining help to be able to facilitate trade for Zambia and give us a much higher regional integration. But then it is extremely important that we have these legal frameworks between our countries so that the improvement of infrastructure should be where you are moving with the oneness among the member countries. Because while you might consider that on the Zambian side would like to push rail, the Angolans might be more interested in pushing the road. So we need to have this framework so that we're able to sit on the same table to discuss and agree what shall we put on first, what shall follow, and that kind of thing. And in doing that, we will boost economic trade and employment along these corridors. And with these agreements and frameworks, we establish not just regional cooperation. As we meet in these secretariats and whether it's Council of Ministers, Council of Permanent Secretaries and technical committee meetings, we actually create brotherhoods and sisterhoods such that if I have an issue that I need to resolve with the Congolese, it's much easier for me to simply say, oh, who has better contact with that director in Congo to be able to help us resolve these matters. Now, as our transport corridors become more efficient and you have rules and regulations that are very similar, it's much easier for the private sector to also come and invest. So when you're trying to get in a PPP to invest in the infrastructure, they know that the rules they'll face in Zambia will not be very different from the rules and regulations they'll be able to face either in Congo or in Angola. And then that now helps to attract other people to be able to come in with grants and loans to be able to invest in the corridor. I'll try and also break the kinds of pressures we have over the two different corridors. So I'll start by describing what we have in the Walvis-Bay and Ndola Lubumbashi. When you start off from Walvis-Bay, you have a port that seems to be well developed now. We have a road. The rail gets only up to Gromfontein. Gromfontein is over 1,000 kilometers from Katimamulilo. When you get onto the Zambian side, from Sisheke the road is quite bad up to just before Kazungula. Kazungula Livingstone Road is not that good, and we know that with the increased traffic it might deteriorate. So there's the need to be able to address the section from Livingstone to Sisheke. In the meantime, there's also increased traffic when you consider Livingstone to Lusaka. While part of the road, like the one that was done by the EU, is in a far much better state, the areas around Monze and Mazabuka are not that good. Then when we get from Lusaka up to Ndola, it's a road that we've now found financing. It's still in a bad state. But then even as you get from Ndola to use any one of the borders, whether Sakanya, Mokambo or Kasumbalesa, the road network is not that good. That's the general description of Walvis-Bay. When we start off from Ndola or Chingola and we're trying to get to Lobito, going through northwestern province, we have a semblance of a good road up to Chingola. Once we get onto Solwezi Tenoff, we are in a mess. Yes, we will get to Solwezi with a bit of some slowdown. But when we leave Solwezi going the other side, there are some parts of the road that are a bit okay. But you eventually reach a part of the road that, first of all, you recognize this road is bad. But before you get to Jimbe, and this is over 60 kilometers, before you reach to Jimbe, anybody who hasn't been there would not even know this is it's famous in Lusaka for the road leading to Jimbe with people talking about a Jimbe one-stop border post. But it looks like it's a farm road with just 2 paths. Even when you reach the border, it looks like you've just reached someone's farm. And thereafter, we virtually have no major road network that connects us to Angola. Then if we even choose another route, we can decide from Lusaka we are going to Mongu, from Mongu we are going to your constituencies.